Chapter 19 Lifespan Barrier, Breaking Through to the Core Formation Realm. In the 8 scenic caves, the glow of the green vine tree's fruit reflected off the cave walls, and the shimmering light of the underground river was also mirrored on the walls, creating a tranquil and beautiful grotto heaven. Guan walked to the green vine tree, turned around, placed his hands on his hips, and looked at the area he had planted, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. One reaps what one sows. Immortal cultivation and farming were the romance he pursued. All the fighting and scheming should stay far away from him. Guan felt self-satisfied as his gaze shifted. He wanted to build a pavilion in the 8 scenic caves so he could occasionally hide here to rest. He was still young now, but in 50 or 60 years, he could learn from Qingxian, making the first disciple manage everything while he enjoyed life. However, it was still early for his first disciple. After all, Medicine Valley was his foundation. He had to find the right person. It wasn't just about being the first to become his disciple and handling all matters. Many plans emerged in Guan's mind. First, he needed to nurture a Deputy Valley Master. Xiaochuan was worth considering, low aptitude but honest, though too blunt in speech and demeanor. Lu Jiujia would eventually go to the outer sect, so he was excluded directly. Yilan. No, better to send her away early to avoid ruining his Daoist heart. As for Wuxin, let's see. Still need to recruit more disciples. Guan thought as he looked up. He was very curious about the green vine tree's fruit. Some natural treasures were fruit-shaped, but picking the green vine tree's fruit individually, would it extend his lifespan? He decided to act on his thoughts. With a leap, Guan raised his hand to grab a fruit and pulled it down. He landed on the grass and then appraised the fruit in his hand, which was as large as a pumpkin. He estimated it weighed 7 or 8 pounds. Guan took out a piece of spirit protection paper from his storage bag and wrapped it around the long stem at the top of the fruit to prevent spiritual energy leakage and nutrient loss. These were valuable. After about 10 breaths, a line of text appeared before his eyes. You have successfully extracted 85 years of life from the green vine fruit, 6th tier, wonderful. 85 years of life. Guan's eyes changed as he looked at the green vine tree. This was a money tree. Absolutely must not uproot it. It must be nurtured well and revered in the future. Guan became excited. He tossed the green vine fruit into his storage bag and counted the fruits on the tree. There were 16 fruits as large as the one he had just picked. The smaller ones couldn't be touched. He began to take action immediately. Some of the green vine fruits were very high up, requiring him to climb the tree. At that moment, he craved the sword control technique immensely. Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators couldn't fly in the sky directly, and he had no other flying or levitation means. After a long struggle, Guan finally managed to pick all 16 green vine fruits, gaining a total of 1,360 years of life. His total lifespan reached 8,400 years. Getting closer and closer to the 10,000-year mark. Enough. All in one go. After reaching 10,000 years, he could improve his cultivation, explore the other 7 cave entrances, once everything was clear, eliminate all potential dangers, then enjoy peace and tranquility. With a plan in mind, Guan began to implement it. The 8 scenic caves were abundant with medicinal herbs. He focused on his attribute panel while picking, stopping once he accumulated 10,000 years of life. An hour later. A prompt appeared before Guan's eyes. Your lifespan has surpassed 10,000 years for the first time, unlocking the lifespan barrier function. Lifespan barrier consumes lifespan to activate a barrier that shields from all prying, perception, and deduction. The consumed lifespan corresponds to your cultivation level and the required spiritual energy. Lifespan barrier? Seeing the words, consumes lifespan, Guan frowned. Wasn't this taking his life? But after reading the explanation, he was thrilled. Breaking through the Foundation Establishment Realm had already caused a big commotion. What if he broke through to higher realms? Over time, the Supreme Sect would be alarmed. Guan had worried about this. Now, he wasn't afraid. This function was too useful. I like it. Guan laughed as he walked toward the cave entrance. After breaking through to the core formation realm, he would explore the other cave entrances. Although the 8 scenic caves had formations, potential dangers might still exist within the caves, so he decided to break through outside, just to test the lifespan barrier. No matter what was hidden, he wasn't scared. Returning to Medicine Valley, it was already late at night. He had moved to the pavilion where Qing Xiandan had lived. It still housed numerous secret books, elixir records, and rare books. He would read them all eventually. After entering the room, Guan approached a wooden cabinet. This cabinet was made from special wood that could retain the spiritual energy of natural treasures as much as possible, which Qing Xiandan had mentioned before. There were several such cabinets. He placed all the green vine fruits into the cabinet. Suddenly, he thought of something, took out one green vine fruit, and placed it on the table. Sitting at the table, he pulled out the Thousand Autumn Pavilion's secret history from his pocket and began to read quietly. It was well past midnight when the white spirit rat finally returned. It ran up to Gu An's shoulder, its tiny eyes staring intently at the green vine fruit on the table. Guan gently picked it up and set it on the table, then waited. The white spirit rat approached the green vine fruit, sniffed, then began to nibble gently. Unclear about the green vine fruit's effects, as the 100 Herbs collection didn't document treasures above the 5th tier, Guan had to test it with the white spirit rat. He let the white spirit rat choose. It was a spirit beast. If the fruit were poisonous, it should be able to smell it. If it couldn't, Guan would bury it properly. The green vine fruit was 10 times the size of the white spirit rat, making it difficult for the rat to nibble. Guan didn't assist it. Finding waiting boring, he decided to break through that night. Guan stood up and left the pavilion stealthily, leaving Mystic Valley and heading west, crossing mountains and valleys, traveling nearly 20 miles. He first jumped onto the top of a tall tree, observing in all directions to confirm no cultivators were around. Then he sat on a grassy patch between the mountains to meditate. Having not advanced his lifespan for a while, he was quite eager. With the lifespan barrier, he could cultivate without worries this time. Let's try 1,000 years first. Guan thought lavishly, sitting on 10,000 years of life. What was 1,000 years at once? A mere drop in the bucket. He directed 1,000 years of lifespan towards his cultivation level to cultivate and advance. You cultivated energy absorption for 30 years, breaking through to Foundation Establishment Realm 8th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 100 years, breaking through to Foundation Establishment Realm 9th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 150 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing, but you failed to endure the minor heavenly tribulation. And the crossing failed. You cultivated energy absorption for 200 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing, but you failed to endure the minor heavenly tribulation, and the crossing failed. You cultivated energy absorption for 450 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing. You successfully endured the minor heavenly tribulation and formed a golden core, stepping into the core formation realm. You cultivated energy absorption for 500 years, breaking through to core formation realm's 2nd layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 600 years. Breaking through to core formation realm 3rd layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 720 years, breaking through to core formation realm 4th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 850 years, breaking through to core formation realm 5th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 1,000 years, breaking through to core formation realm's 6th layer. Line after line of prompts crazily popped up before Gu An's eyes. Seeing the 6 consecutive failed tribulation crossings made Guan almost choke. How could it be this difficult? Was tribulation crossing that hard? With the last prompt falling, Gu An's body autonomously began cultivating energy, instantly feeling the spiritual energy of nature becoming volatile. He hastily activated the lifespan barrier. Activating lifespan barrier, lifespan consumed, 0 years. This prompt hovered before his eyes. As nature's spiritual energy flowed into him, the 0 changed directly to 1. Hope the consumption isn't too high, Guan silently prayed. As the vast spiritual energy fervently surged into his body, he felt entirely unblocked, an indescribable pleasurable sensation. This time, he didn't move during the breakthrough, so he didn't feel the pain. Centered around him, the ground formed ripples of air, converging from all directions into his body. Vaguely visible was a translucent barrier, about 5 yards in diameter. Guan looked outside the barrier. There were no wind waves outside, the flowers, grasses, and trees were very calm, apparently not affected by him. He immediately became curious. Why was there no impact? Soon, he understood. With the barrier activated, he absorbed spiritual energy from the ground during cultivation. Now he was completely reassured. It didn't take long for his cultivation level to reach Foundation Establishment Realm 9th layer, and the barrier's lifespan consumption grew to 5 years, making him a bit distressed. This thing was too expensive. It reminded him of some mobile game experiences from his previous life. One word, dark. While Guan internally complained, he suddenly noticed a bright light in the distant mountain forest. Narrowing his eyes, he vaguely saw a scene of cultivators battling. 10 miles away. Above the mountain forest, Qiong swung his sword, unleashing waves of sword chi like fierce winds sweeping through the forest, scattering leaves. Liye, dressed in black, stood atop a tree, raising his sword to block. A powerful energy burst from his body, forming a faint golden bell shadow that resisted all of Qiong's sword chi. Qiong's black hair flew wildly in the wind, a sinister and arrogant smile on his face. As he laughed loudly, Liye, is this all you got? You want to fight the 4th prince? Can you even live to enter the inner sect? Liye's face was stern, glancing toward Mystic Valley. Not good. If this continued, it would alarm people in Medicine Valley. Liye didn't want to trouble Guan and others, so he immediately pushed his sword, dispersing the sword chi, then flew in the direction opposite to Mystic Valley. Qiong chased closely, and the two rode their swords, quickly disappearing into the night sky. Guan, within the lifespan barrier, couldn't clearly see the battling cultivators in the distance, but luckily those lights disappeared. He didn't dare relax. The lifespan barrier could shield prying, perception, and deduction, but it didn't become entirely invisible. What if someone stumbled in by chance? Time passed quickly in Guan's anxious state. He began to form the golden core within his body. As the barrier consumed over 50 years of lifespan, he successfully formed the golden core. Although the barrier consumed a lot, it was within Guan's acceptable range. Before starting, he worried this thing might be too much, draining him dry at once. Now his worries were gone. Another thought emerged. 1,000 years to reach Core Formation Realm's 6th layer. Should he continue? Chapter 20, Spirit Root Transformation, Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. The night sky was silent, occasionally filled with the cries of birds, and the mountain forest lay quietly in the darkness. Guan meditated within the lifespan barrier, appreciating the moonlight. Tonight's moon was so beautiful, just like his mood. His cultivation level had already reached the 4th layer of the Core Formation Realm, and he was getting closer to the end. He planned to continue investing until he broke through to the Nascent Soul Realm, and then acquire an ultimate skill, as the Gale's shadowless leg could no longer satisfy him. What kind of great cultivator in the Nascent Soul Realm uses leg techniques? He needed a sword. Guan decided to favor the 7 swords of the Li family. With the cultivation level of the Nascent Soul Realm, he also needed attacking techniques of the Nascent Soul Realm. Yes, let's assume that Cheng Xuandan's master was a great cultivator in the Nascent Soul Realm. Guan had to overestimate his opponent as much as possible to reduce the chances of defeat. After the cultivator he previously fought with left and did not return, Guan's heart was completely at ease. He was already a Core Formation Realm cultivator, and in the outer sect, he could walk unchallenged. Even if someone suddenly broke in, they wouldn't withstand a single kick from him. 5th layer of the Core Formation Realm. His cultivation level increased again, and Guan's divine sense also became stronger along with it. The Core Formation Realm was completely different from the Foundation Establishment Realm. They were worlds apart. The spiritual power was vastly different, and the divine sense disparity was also immense. Now, Gu An's divine sense could converge into a powerful impact. Reaching the core formation realm made him feel like a true cultivator. If the core formation realm was like this, how powerful would the Nascent Soul Realm be? Guan could not wait to invest his lifespan. He had to wait patiently. After his cultivation level broke through to the 6th layer of the core formation realm, he then brought up his attribute panel. His gaze was involuntarily drawn to the spirit roots. He once tried to enhance his spirit roots, but the results were negligible. This caused a psychological shadow, fearing it was a bottomless pit. Thus, he redirected his lifespan elsewhere, and deducing cultivation techniques could also improve spirit root qualifications. Now that he was strong enough and his lifespan was abundant, it was time to retry enhancing his spirit roots. After some time, when his cultivation level stopped increasing, Guan directly invested 2,000 years of lifespan into his spirit roots. You have invested 2,000 years of lifespan into evolving and cultivating your spirit roots. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 100 years, and your perception power of the 5 elements spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 200 years, and your perception power of the 5 elements spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 1,000 years, finally capturing a trace of the heaven and earth true meaning. Your spirit roots are cleansed by heaven and earth, and the qualifications of your 5 elements spirit roots start to transform, with the wood spirit root being the most prominent. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 1,200 years, and your perception power of the 5 elements spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 2,000 years, finally capturing a trace of the heaven and earth true meaning. At the same time, you understand the earth's river veins. Your spirit roots are cleansed by heaven and earth, and the qualifications of your 5 elements spirit roots start to transform. The qualifications of your 5 elements spirit root all transform into top-tier mortal qualifications, with the wood spirit root and earth spirit root being the most prominent. One line after another of prompts appeared before Guan. Seeing the earlier prompts about the 5 elements, his heart started to bleed. He was careless. As expected, this thing was a bottomless pit. Seeing the final prompt, where all 5 elements spirit root reached top-tier qualification, improved his mood, yet he still felt heartache. After all, previously understanding the divine wood pure Yang's skill had already elevated his wood spirit root to top-tier qualification. He could not think like this. He ought to consider that the divine wood pure Yang's skill took 1,000 years to elevate one spirit root to top-tier qualification. To elevate all 5 spirit roots to top-tier qualification, it would have taken at least 5,000 years. So the question was, why did he not cultivate techniques of the other 4 elements? One had to try to walk the most perfect path. As Guan reflected on himself, the earth spirit energy surged again. This time it was not to enhance his cultivation level, but to temper his muscles and bones. Pain. Guan felt an unprecedented pain, forcing him to grit his teeth and endure. To divert his attention, he began to think about the attribute panel. It seemed spirit root qualifications were the hardest to improve, which made sense. Spirit root qualifications were akin to the limit of one's lifespan, while cultivation level was the current lifespan. Breaking the limit was the hardest. Efforts made postnatally would never be as difficult as breaking through the predetermined fate. This was why the Supreme Sect treated geniuses with such reverence. Dual spirit roots like Ji Xiaoyu were far more important to the Supreme Sect than a single core formation realm cultivator. For ordinary people, the fewer spirit roots they had, the higher the qualification. If one's total talent value was 100, dual spirit roots could each have 50, but if it was 5 elements spirit root, each root's talent value would only be 20, and being well-rounded sometimes meant being average. Gu An's situation was now different. By improving his spirit root qualifications, he was effectively raising his talent value from 100 upward. Unfortunately, spirit root attributes could not be individually invested to enhance cultivation. Now, the other spirit roots were not very helpful for his cultivation of divine wood pure Yang skill. Thus, his cultivation speed increased somewhat, but not significantly. However, he noticed the prefix, mortal, before, top-tier qualifications, in the prompts. Could there be holy body and spirit body as well? Lost in these thoughts, Guan noticed the consumption speed of the lifespan barrier starting to slow. From the moment he began his breakthrough until now, he had already consumed 134 years of lifespan. As his spirit root qualifications continued to improve, Guan felt the myriad of spiritual energies grow clearer, altering his perception of the entire world. The pain was being replaced by a sense of wonder. Some time passed. Guan's body stopped absorbing spiritual energy. The 5 elements spirit root in his attribute panel changed to top tier 5 elements spirit root. Instead of getting up, he invested 2,000 years of lifespan into his cultivation. The shadow of a failed tribulation weighed on him, so he decided to go all out. If he invested 1,000 years into his cultivation and got stuck at the 9th layer of the core formation realm, he would surely be vomiting blood. This was a real possibility. After failing a tribulation, it would take 50 years to attempt again. In reality, failing a tribulation meant either death or severe injury, and recovering from injuries definitely took time. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation for the Nascent Soul Realm must be even harder. The number of failures would likely be numerous. Begin. You practiced chi absorption for 100 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 7th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced chi absorption for 200 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 8th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced chi absorption for 300 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 9th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced chi absorption for 400 years, and with great mastery of the divine. With pure yang skill, you forcefully impacted the nascent soul realm and began your tribulation. You did not survive the 3 profound heavenly tribulations and failed the tribulation. You practiced chi absorption for 1,500 years, and with great mastery of the divine with pure yang skill, you forcefully impacted the nascent soul realm and began your tribulation. You did not survive the 3 profound heavenly tribulations and failed the tribulation. You practiced chi absorption for 1,600 years, and with great mastery of the divine with pure yang skill, you forcefully impacted the nascent soul realm and began your tribulation. You finally survived the 3 profound heavenly tribulations, succeeded in your tribulation, and were promoted to the nascent soul realm. You practiced chi absorption for 1,800 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 2nd layer of the nascent soul realm. You practiced chi absorption for 2,000 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 3rd layer of the nascent soul realm. Damn. Failed 12 times. When Guan saw that he had failed the tribulation 6 times, his heart sank. By the time he failed 10 times, he was seeing blackness in front of his eyes. Luckily, he finally succeeded in breaking through to the nascent soul realm. Was the nascent soul realm truly so difficult to break through? Guan thought, collapsing mentally. He realized why the lifespan consumed by evolutionary cultivation was larger than the actual consumption. Evolutionary cultivation was equivalent to naked cultivation. Normal cultivation would involve taking elixirs and using formations to gather spiritual energy, which could help with tribulations. Not to mention the mystical effects of rare treasures. Once again, the spiritual energy in the world surged madly, and the consumption rate of the lifespan barrier increased. Guan calmed his heart and began to enjoy the enhancement of his cultivation. The rising sun shone over the mortal world, and Mystic Valley gradually brightened. Guan stood atop the mountain, overlooking the autumnal forest. His robe fluttered, and the sunlight bathed him, as if he could ascend to become immortal at any moment. He had already condensed the nascent soul, becoming a true nascent soul realm cultivator. To reward himself, he elevated his surface cultivation level by 1 layer, reaching the 4th layer of the energy cultivation realm. In the future, he would raise it by 1 layer each year, stopping at the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm, so he would not be summoned away. Unable to resist, he brought up his attribute panel to check again. Name, Guan, lifespan, 22/4502, spirit root, top tier 5 elements spirit root, wood and earth attributes more prominent, can invest lifespan for evolutionary cultivation, 3rd layer of the nascent soul realm, can invest lifespan for evolutionary cultivation, techniques, fire control art, unlearned, divine with pure yang skill, mastery, dragon strength divine primordial skill, mastery, alchemy, initial insight, can invest lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Ultimate skills, Gale Shadowless Leg, accomplished. 7 Swords of the Leaf Family, unlearned. 8 Directions Step, unlearned. Can invest lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Guan then planned to favor the 7 Swords of the Leaf Family again, then continue to save his lifespan, amassing up to the 100,000 mark before using it. For now, he needed to rest for a few days to calm his excited heart. With his nascent soul realm cultivation, he could indeed go to the Supreme Sect to obtain a decent position and treatment, but when he thought of the Supreme Sect sending him to slay demons, combat the demon path, and the potential for internal conflicts, he calmed his wandering thoughts. Stay true to your original aspiration to achieve the ultimate result. Nobody could change his mind. He planned to hole up in Mystic Valley to the end. He could occasionally seek out heavenly materials and earthly treasures, but he would never shift his focus from Mystic Valley. A higher position might accelerate the increase of his lifespan, but the danger would rise proportionally. Anyway, without enemies, why rush? Guan turned and walked down the mountain. The nascent soul realm could already fly, but he chose not to. He chose to walk down the mountain instead. When he reached Medicine Valley, Xiaochuan and others gradually came out. "Senior brother, you were up the mountain so early?" Yilan greeted Guan. She oddly felt that today's senior brother looked even more attractive. Guan smiled and said, "I went to check on the seeds." "Today, you will lead their training." Yilan nodded in agreement and wanted to ask more, but Guan had already headed towards the pavilion. Not far away, Wuxin watched Gu An's figure, thinking to himself, there must be some mystery in the mountain forest. I will definitely find it. Guan walked up the stairs and pushed open the door. As soon as he entered, he saw the white spirit rat lying on the table, its body swollen like a balloon, while the green vine fruit had disappeared. Still breathing, not dead. He immediately used lifespan detection on the white spirit rat. White spirit rat, first order 12/120/180, Its lifespan had increased by 70 years. Initially, the white spirit rat's lifespan was only 50 years. Was the effect of the green vine fruit this potent? Guan immediately went to the wooden cabinet, took out a green vine fruit, and started to eat. Chapter 21, Liya Returns, Divine Weapon of the Li Family. Guan took his first bite of the green vine fruit and immediately felt a surge of warmth spread through his body. It's working. He began devouring it in big bites, and in no time, the large green vine fruit was completely consumed. As he digested, he pulled up his attribute panel, eagerly awaiting an increase in his lifespan. However, he waited for an entire hour. There was no increase in his lifespan at all. But his chi blood did strengthen considerably, and his physical strength improved. What's going on? Is my realm too high, or is this fruit only suitable for spirit beasts and demon beasts? Guan wondered to himself. He looked at the white spirit rat on the table, which was still sound asleep. Its lifespan hadn't increased further, but its aura was steadily rising. Let's wait a bit longer. The white spirit rat slept for 3 days. When it woke up, it had grown to the size of an adult cat. It jumped into Gu An's arms, nuzzling him affectionately, but its eyes were fixed on the cabinet behind him. No more eating. Reading a book, Guan huffed. If it continued to grow, it would certainly cause trouble. Xiaochuan and the others would be curious. Likely, Lu Jiujia and Yilan would soon join the outer sect, and Guan did not want them to know too many of his secrets. The white spirit rat looked at Guan pitifully and even nodded, which made Gu An's eyes widen. It understood. Guan pointed to the side with his right hand and said, "Come over here." The white spirit rat immediately jumped over without any hesitation. He continued to give instructions, and as long as they weren't complex, the white spirit rat could follow them all. This made him grow even fonder of it. Finally, a bit of the demeanor of a spirit beast. Guan picked up the white spirit rat and left the house with it. It was autumn, and the various gardens were filled with piles of fallen leaves. Xiaochuan and the others were busy cleaning, and Medicine Valley felt peaceful. Guan walked down the stairs and put the white spirit rat on the ground, no eating randomly. After he said that, he pointed to the white spirit rat's mouth. It nodded, seemingly understanding, then turned and hopped away. Guan watched with a peculiar look. It behaves like a rabbit? Could it be that it not only increased lifespan but also altered its genes? The first one to notice the white spirit rat was Yilan, mainly because she was drawn by Guan's gaze. Then she saw a large white rat running towards her, and her face changed dramatically with fear. There's a rat demon. Yilan screamed, instantly attracting the attention of Lu Jiujia, Xiaochuan, and Wuxin. When they saw the white spirit rat, they were immediately frightened. They had never seen such a large rat before. White spirit rat, slow down. Guan's voice came, and the white spirit rat immediately stopped when it heard him. It looked back at him, then turned and headed towards the forest, its speed much slower than before. Seeing this, Yilan and the others put down their tools and ran over to Guan. Senior brother, is that white spirit rat yours? How did it get so big? It must be another white spirit rat, right? It feels a bit clumsy, with weak legs. This spirit beast's bloodline is not simple. Listening to the comments from his junior brothers and sisters, Guan just smiled and remained silent, letting them guess. Guan looked at the group and said, in a while, I plan to visit the outer sect. Who wants to come with me? With these words, except for Wuxin, everyone else wanted to go. Great opportunity. Wuxin remained expressionless, but his heart was highly excited. After a bit of competition, Guan chose to take Yilan and Xiaochuan to the outer sect, setting the time for 7 days later. Why 7 days? Because he first planned to thoroughly explore the 8 scenic caves. Guan turned and looked towards the valley entrance, where a figure was walking. It was Leah. After many years, Leah had gained a bit of aged and cold sternness. His black robe fluttered in the autumn wind, and with the sword at his waist, he exuded an aloof swordsman air that was undeniable. Xiaochuan and the other 4 noticed Leah, and his presence made them tense. Anyone who came to Medicine Valley usually had a higher status than them, not to mention this person looked hard to approach. Guan assessed Li Ya's lifespan and found he had already reached the 4th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. That's remarkably quick. As expected of the first person I found with a life grid. Guan walked over immediately, followed closely by the others. Leah scanned everything in Medicine Valley. When his gaze fell on Guan, he seemed a bit dazed. Back then, Guan had always followed others. Now he could lead the other servant disciples. Indeed, things had changed. Guan came up to him, cupped his hands, and smiled, brotherly, long time no see. Injured? Guan could feel his chi blood was chaotic, his breathing shallow, clearly suffering from internal injuries. Leah smiled and said, it's been many years indeed. Where's Master? And where are Senior Brother and Meng Lang? Guan said helplessly, Master's time was up, and he passed away some time ago. After you left, Senior Brother also left the valley. As for Meng Lang, he went to participate in the outer sect assessment and hasn't returned. Hearing this, Leah was stunned. Xiaochuan and the others whispered among themselves, guessing Li Ya's identity. Previously, Meng Lang had often mentioned there was a member of the imperial family serving as a servant disciple here, someone he called a brother. Leah sighed, so it's just you left? Guan asked, want to sit in the building? Leah nodded. He came back mainly to revisit the old place and also to heal. Only here did he feel safe. Guan led Leah to the pavilion while signaling the others to continue cleaning the fallen leaves. Upon reaching the Valley Master's pavilion, as Leah stepped onto the stairs, emotions surged within him, and he couldn't help but start coughing, his face turning pale. Walking in front, Guan's expression changed slightly. He felt a faint soul wave from Leah. Good heavens! Does this guy have an old grandfather spirit with him? Guan turned his head and asked with concern, brotherly, what's wrong? Leah waved his hand, nothing, just a bit injured. Injured? Then stay here for now, there are plenty of places to stay in Medicine Valley. Guan said immediately. Leah smiled and nodded, thinking, Gu junior brother is still so considerate. This time, I should help him out. The two entered the house, and Guan made Liya sit down before preparing tea for him. Liya looked around the room, his gaze quickly settling on the green vine fruit in the wooden cabinet. Over the past 3 days, Guan had stored most of the green vine fruits in his storage bag, leaving only 2 in the cabinet to prevent the white spirit rat from sneaking them. If the white spirit rat stole them, he couldn't bear to kill it, so he hid the green vine fruits instead. That fruit, Liya squinted, but he didn't look too long. His gaze soon returned to Guan. Having not seen Guan for years, he was amazed by his current air. Previously, Guan had a delicate appearance but didn't possess the striking aura he had now, much like a great cultivator from the inner sect, calm with a touch of transcendence. If he hadn't sensed that Guan's cultivation was only in the 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, he would have doubted if this was the same Guan he knew. As the water boiled, Guan sat at the table and chatted with Liya. To avoid an awkward atmosphere, Guan asked about the lives of outer sect disciples, and Liya answered in detail. As an outer sect disciple, you must complete 1 outer sect bounty task per year? Guan asked curiously. Liya smiled, that's right, and it's an external task. Have you encountered demons? Almost every time we go out, the Taicang dynasty is too vast, and some places are always plagued by demons. Last year, I nearly died outside. It was a 3rd-tier demon beast, comparable to the core formation realm. My friends and I fought fiercely, resulting in 1 death and the rest of us severely injured, barely escaping. Liya answered, showing a look of fear at the end. 3rd tier? Core formation realm? Guan feigned astonishment, lifting the gloom in Liya's heart. He started to recount the specific details, and Guan listened with genuine interest, responding with fitting reactions. In truth, he was genuinely curious about Liya's experiences. After listening, he only felt one thing. Too dangerous. Luckily, I wasn't an outer sect disciple. Besides demons, you also have to watch out for other cultivators. During a treasure hunt, I clashed with disciples from another sect, entangled with them for half a month, finally killing him. But guess what then? Liya's excitement rose as he started another story. Guan guessed, his dad came. Liya looked at him with surprise and shook his head, not his dad, but close, his master came. Good heavens. Guan felt even more grateful he wasn't in the outer sect. If the outer sect was like this, how much more dangerous must the inner sect be? Liya continued explaining his wit battles with the enemy's master, making Guan feel like he was listening to a storytelling session. Quite thrilling. When the water boiled, Guan got up to brew tea. Liya asked casually, Junior brother, are the fruits in the cabinet left by master? Guan, facing away from him, replied, I found them outside. Don't you remember? The white spirit rat is a treasure-hunting rat. Liya raised his eyebrows. It can really hunt treasures? He suddenly wanted to raise a white spirit rat too. After a moment's hesitation, he said, Junior brother, can you give me one to heal? I won't let you suffer a loss. Do you want a secret book or a magic artifact? Guan turned, carrying the tea tray to him, and said nonchalantly, they'll give you one directly. No need to give me anything. What kind of relationship do we have? Hearing this, Liya felt deeply touched. In the outer sect all these years, though he had friends, they were all based on benefits. No one had ever treated him so kindly, without expecting anything in return. Having said that, Guan walked to the cabinet, took out a green vine fruit, and placed it beside Liya's teacup. His action made Liya even more ashamed. Liya, you looked down on him and Medicine Valley before. Even though you joined the outer sect, you still have to rely on him to save you, Liya mocked himself inwardly. He then raised his hand and took out a treasured sword from his storage bag. The scabbard was green, inlaid with gems, the patterns intricate, exuding an air of wealth and grandeur. The hilt seemed to entwine a dark golden dragon. This sword, placed by Liya on the table, made a crisp, heavy sound. Liya stroked the sword and said softly, my mother gave it to me, I'll give it to you. This sword might save your life one day. Guan was stunned by the sword, even though he only saw the scabbard, he felt the power within. After all, he was a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator. He saw more than Liya. Chapter 22, 2000 Years of Evolution, Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. No, I can't accept it. How could I take the sword your mother left you? Guan quickly waved his hand, expressing honest concern. Such a treasure sword must have a significant backstory and could bring trouble. Liya lowered his eyes, looking at the scabbard, lost in his own memories. This sword is called Heavenly Residence. It has been with me since I was 3 years old. Now, I cannot fully utilize its power, and I am no longer qualified to use it. Leaving it with you is better. Maybe in this Medicine Valley, it will encounter its destined owner. Guan, puzzled, asked, why are you not qualified? This sword can't be related to the imperial family, can it? If so, I dare not accept it. The thought of entangling with the Li family gave him a headache. Indeed, the sword was stunning and to his liking, but he preferred not to have his life disturbed. Liya looked at him and smiled. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. Don't worry, this sword won't bring you trouble. The Li family wouldn't dare to seize it because it was a love token from my father to my mother. With its presence, the Li family wouldn't dare to harm you. If you ever encounter insurmountable trouble, you can take this sword and go to Changluo to find my father. How could someone of my humble status face the emperor? Don't worry. The moment Heavenly Residence appears in Changluo, my father will sense it. In short, you must accept it. Otherwise, I won't eat this fruit. Then don't eat it. Guan almost blurted out but held back. He looked again at the Heavenly Residence sword. Up to now, he didn't have a single magic artifact of his own. Cheng Xuandan's inheritance only included talisman paper, without a single sword. What is there to fear? I am a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator. If I encounter any unresolvable trouble, I can just throw the sword to the opponent. Taking a deep breath, Guan reached out to grab Heavenly Residence. The sword had some weight, and his right hand trembled as he lifted it, causing Liya to laugh heartily. Junior brother Gu, even if your aptitude is ordinary, never forget to cultivate. You must practice the Li family's 7-sword art that I taught you, Liya earnestly advised. Guan, holding the Heavenly Residence sword with both hands, forced a smile and nodded. Hee hee. Boy, you still need to sharpen your insight. And so, Liya settled in Medicine Valley, with Guan personally arranging a secluded courtyard for him, ensuring he was undisturbed. Seated cross-legged on the bed, with a half-eaten green vine fruit beside him, Liya performed hand seals, continuously cultivating energy for healing. A faint blue silhouette emerged from Liya's body, swirling inside the room. It was an old man with kind eyes, dressed in a slightly fluttering robe, exuding an aura of a high-ranking enlightened being. Liya opened his eyes and asked, Ancestor, what kind of fruit is this? Its medicinal effects are overpowering. The soul body of the old man, referred to as Ancestor, waved his hand, causing a spatial fluctuation within the room. He then stroked his beard and smiled. It should be the green vine fruit nurtured by the holy tree of Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Even the lowest grade of green vine fruit is of the 6th rank. Consider yourself lucky. The fruit of Thousand Autumn Pavilion? So they have infiltrated this deeply. No wonder the Supreme Sect considers them a great enemy. Liya murmured. The Ancestor looked at the green vine fruit and said, Thousand Autumn Pavilion and the Supreme Sect have held grudges for over 1,000 years. Each sect has planted countless spies within the other. Your junior brother Gu is fortunate. If not for meeting you, the green vine fruit would have brought him disaster. Liya shook his head. It's not that he is just lucky, he is kind and righteous. Such people are always rewarded. On the contrary, I consider myself the fortunate one. The Ancestor nodded, indeed. In the immortal cultivation world, people like him are rare. However, you needn't feel too guilty. Giving him the Heavenly Residence sword holds greater significance for him than the green vine fruit. Hearing him mention the Heavenly Residence sword, Liya sighed. I have failed my mother's expectations. I don't wish to contend for the throne, only want to avenge her and then travel the world, far from courtly strife. The heavenly residence is one of the 3 Emperor Swords of Taicang. To fully harness its power, you must master the Emperor-level sword technique. Your 9 devastating swords are only at a minor level. It would take another 100 years for you to master the Emperor-level sword technique, the elder mused. Leah fell silent. The ancestor teased, you couldn't easily defeat that young fellow named Jiang. You must strive harder, knowing that your 4th brother has already reached the core formation realm. Leah took a deep breath and said nothing more, closing his eyes to continue healing. The ancestor looked out the window. Although it was tightly shut, he could hear the laughter of Xiaochuan and the others. This is indeed a good place, far from worldly disputes. Sadly, those with missions are not meant for such places. Forget it, no more sighing. I should go back to sleep and rest. Deep in the night, Mystic Valley was silent. Using dragon strength divine primordial skill to conceal his energy, Guan silently left Mystic Valley, making his way to the mountain forest over 20 miles away. Sitting under a tree, he opened his attribute panel, focusing on the Li family's 7-sword art. How many years of lifespan should I invest? After some thought, he decided to invest more to increase his actual combat power. Then let it be 2,000 years. With this investment, he planned to conserve his lifespan for 10,000 years. He immediately chose to invest 2,000 years of lifespan. As soon as he had this thought, the first digit of his lifespan changed from 4 to 2. You have invested 2,000 years of lifespan to cultivate the Li family's 7-sword art. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 10 years, mastering the sword art, beginning to consider more possibilities. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 50 years, reaching the pinnacle, and your Li family's 7-sword art has elevated to the 7-sword art. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 300 years, achieving the pinnacle, and your 7-sword art was elevated to the 9 devastating swords. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 500 years, mastering the 9 devastating swords, and have condensed your own sword intent. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 1,000 years, reaching the pinnacle with the 9 devastating swords, which was elevated to the Emperor-level sword technique. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 1,200 years, condensing the heaven and earth imperial energy with your sword intent, enhancing your sword Tao comprehension. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 1,800 years, mastering the Emperor-level sword technique, comprehending the true essence of sword Tao, entering a state of enlightenment, and elevating the Emperor-level sword technique to the Taicang divine shocking sword. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 2,000 years, mastering the Taicang divine shocking sword, and enhancing your sword Tao comprehension. A series of notifications popped up frenziedly. Upon seeing that the cultivation time had reached 1,000 years, Guan immediately activated the lifespan barrier. He feared alerting the mysterious underground presence and the soul within Li Ya's body. When all notifications concluded, a vast memory surged into his mind, and the ground emanated spiritual energy. However, this spiritual energy did not enter his body but swirled around him, gradually condensing into strands of cold light like sword light, shining with an extraordinary glow in the dark night. Guan entered a state of path enlightenment. It was uncertain how much time had passed before he gradually awakened. At that moment, dawn had not yet broken. Guan first looked at the lifespan barrier's consumption notification. Goodness, merely comprehending the cultivation technique had consumed 300 years of his lifespan. Fortunately, he had completely mastered the Taicang divine shocking sword, reaching an integrating realm and understanding sword Tao, giving him a wondrous feeling. Checking the attribute panel again, he saw that the Li family's 7-sword art in the ultimate skills section had changed to the Taicang divine shocking sword, with the words integrating realm in parentheses. He did not immediately get up but instead took out heavenly residence, placing the scabbard horizontally on his legs, his hands pressing on it while his eyes closed. He was sensing the sword's sword intent. Once the sword's sword intent merged with his own, he could conquer this treasure sword. The interior of this treasure sword unexpectedly had many restrictions, like a series of magical checkpoints awaiting the sword master to breach using divine sense and spiritual power. Guan did not understand restrictions, but fortunately, he already had his own sword intent. His sword intent penetrated through the restrictions. An hour later, Guan stood up, putting the heavenly residence into the storage bag, and then walked towards Mystic Valley. With a step out, he immediately floated in mid-air, gathering sword chi beneath his feet, traveling on the sword. Upon reaching a distance of about 10 miles from Mystic Valley, he landed and continued to walk on foot, concealing his energy to the utmost. The night gradually passed, and the eastern sky began to show a pink hue. Morning arrived. Liya pushed open the door, greeted by the sunrise. He stretched lazily, feeling refreshed. The medicinal effects of the green vine fruit were truly powerful. He no longer felt discomfort and sensed that he would be fully healed in a few days. Liya smiled, looking at the lawn next to the far garden where Guan was leading the junior brothers and sisters in exercises. The slow, rhythmic movements piqued Liya's curiosity. Though the movements were slow, he felt an inexplicable subtlety in them. Immediately, Liya walked over, arriving beside Guan, who greeted him with a nod in response. "What are you practicing?" Liya asked curiously. Guan smiled and answered, "I learned this from an old man in my childhood. It helps strengthen the body and keep a good mental state. I practice it with them daily to ensure they start the day with a good spirit." Lu Jiujia complained, "Actually, I don't think it does much." Xiaochuan glared at him, "That's because your aptitude is dull." Liya said, "Actually, it does help, but you need to keep at it for a long time." Saying this as an outer disciple naturally made everyone believe him. Guan glanced at Liya, feeling that he had become more amiable, speaking so considerately. In truth, he led the junior brothers and sisters in exercises to completely shift their focus from cultivation and dreams, preventing them from ruining his plants. "After you finish practicing, they'll teach you a set of swordsmanship," Liya said with a smile. Xiaochuan and the others were instantly excited, thanking him profusely and calling him senior brother Liya, one after another. Liya looked at Guan and said, "You join too. Now that you have a sword, you should practice more." Guan smiled and nodded. "Fine. Let me test if your Li family's 7-sword art has been practiced well." Liya's participation made the atmosphere more lively. Watching the junior brothers and sisters noisily chattering, he did not feel annoyed but rather delighted. It wasn't until noon that Liya pulled Guan into the forest. "Show me your Li family's 7-sword art. Once you master it, I can teach you the real swordsmanship." "This Li family's 7-sword art is just basic sword moves," Liya said seriously. Chapter 23 Soul-Shaking Bell, Yin-Yang Art. In the forest, Guan could not resist Liya's insistence and eventually performed a clumsy set of the Li family's 7 swords. Only then did he realize that pretending to be incompetent was harder than pretending to be skilled. Faced with Guan's stiff sword moves, Liya criticized him for a long time, then began patiently teaching him sword practice. Through his sword moves, Guan could judge that he was already practicing the 9 devastating swords, showing considerable talent. At least, his talent in sword Dao surpassed Guan's. The second day arrived, and once again, Liya dragged Guan to practice swords. Guan couldn't bear it any longer. "Brother Li, I lack the talent for sword practice, so let it go. I have only a few decades in my life. If I rigorously practice the sword, wouldn't it be a waste? Compared to practicing swords, I prefer planting and tending flowers." Guan said helplessly, secretly urging the dragon's strength within his body, causing his eyes to turn red. Liya, holding a sword, suddenly felt a blockage in his heart. What was he doing? Repaying junior brother Guan the way he liked? Wasn't this also a form of harm? Liya couldn't help but think of his childhood when the emperor forced him to learn alongside his imperial brothers, but the things his brothers excelled at, he could never master. He sighed, walked to Guan, patted him on the shoulder, and said, "Junior brother Gu, it was inconsiderate of me. I'm sorry." Guan forced a smile, "It's okay, senior brother. You're thinking of me, but it's just that I'm useless, lacking in talent." The more Guan acted this way, the more guilty Liya felt. They sat down and began to chat about their first year in the valley, easing the tension of sword practice. For the next few days, Liya no longer pestered Guan to practice swords, but he would still spend an ancient hour teaching Xiaochuan and others sword practice. For Xiaochuan and the others, whose dreams had not yet been extinguished, learning swords from an outer disciple was a rare opportunity. 5 days later, Liu was preparing to leave. Guan, along with junior and senior disciples, escorted Liu to the entrance of the valley. Xiaochuan and others were reluctant. They had learned so much from Liu. "Senior brother, this place will always be your home. Come back often," Guan said with a face full of reluctance. "Home?" Ripples arose in Liu's heart, but his face maintained a serene smile. "Yes, I will come back." After saying that, he turned and left. Dressed in black, he moved through the forest like a black flame, burning fiercely, with the autumn wind unable to extinguish his fire. Guan sensed that he was burning with some kind of determination, possibly related to his recent injury. Only after Liu disappeared into the depths of the forest did Guan turn his gaze back to the junior and senior disciples. He smiled and said, "Cultivate well, and soon go to the outer sect to seek senior brother Li and bring honor to our mystic valley." Lu Jiujia immediately made a bold declaration, vowing to enter the outer sect. Xiaochuan said the same, though his confidence was clearly less than Lu Jiujia's. Yilan was preoccupied, lost in thought. Wuxin spoke up, "I won't go to the outer sect. I will stay with senior brother for a lifetime." Everyone looked at him in surprise, including Guan. This child, Guan felt touched. Had he misjudged Wuxin? Lately, Wuxin had been very well behaved, not wandering around late at night, and nothing had been stolen from Mystic Valley, so it couldn't be concluded that Wuxin had ill intent. Given this, more chores should be assigned to Wuxin in the future. Yilan felt a twinge of regret. How had Wuxin managed to say what she wanted to say first? At the same time, she realized that perhaps, in her heart, senior brother was important, but not as important as pursuing immortal cultivation for longevity. Lu Jiujia couldn't help but mock Wuxin for being so sycophantic, and soon, Xiaochuan, Yilan, and Wuxin started arguing with him. Guan led them back to the valley, but his mind was drifting towards the underground. Liu had already left. Next, he had to prepare to deal with the underground troubles. Late at night, in the 8 scenic caves, Guan, holding the heavenly resident's sword scabbard, came to Meng Lang. Meng Lang, with his orifices sealed by soil, still lay on the grass. "The grass around here shows signs of tampering. As expected, there's someone." Guan keenly noticed subtle changes in the grass around Meng Lang. It's hard for an ordinary cultivator to detect this. He noticed it because he specifically observed the area last time he left. He gripped the heavenly resident's sword and then walked toward the cave where Meng Lang had initially emerged. Before long, he disappeared into the darkness. This tunnel was dim, with few crystal stones. However, for the divine sense of a nascent soul realm cultivator, it posed no challenge. The cold spirit wind blew in the tunnel, ruffling Guan's robes, and his divine sense had already reached the end of the tunnel. There was a spacious cavern, not as large as the main cavern of the 8 scenic caves, but still sizable. Here stood several coffins, with a large bluish-green crystal stone embedded in the ceiling, casting an eerie glow on the frightening coffins below. Apart from the coffins, there was nothing else. Guan's divine sense immediately detected a faint sign of life inside one of the coffins. This trace of life could not escape the divine sense of a nascent soul realm cultivator. Guan did not sense any danger from this faint life force, but he remained cautious. He advanced slowly and walked for a long time before reaching the end of the tunnel. He stood at the entrance and carefully peered inside. He cautiously asked, "Is anyone there?" There was no answer, as if the cavern was devoid of anyone. Guan picked up a stone from the ground and threw it inside. With a thud, the stone hit one of the coffins. The coffin remained still, but Guan seemed frightened and his eyes widened. He instinctively stepped back, feigning a look of panic. Why hadn't there been a response yet? Continuing the act any longer would be awkward. Guan grew anxious. He did this to gauge the attitude of the presence hidden here. After all, it had not harmed him before, and he did not want to wrongly kill a good person. At least, he needed to be at peace with himself. Gritting his teeth, Guan suddenly drew his sword and rushed into the cavern, slashing wildly. With a crack, the heavenly resident's sword struck a coffin lid and got stuck. As he pulled it with force, his body staggered back a few steps due to the inertia. Pooha, a soft laugh echoed, sounding particularly sharp in the cavern. Goosebumps nearly rose on Guan's skin. It was a woman's voice, sounding eerily like a female ghost laughing. He nervously scanned the surroundings, holding the heavenly resident's sword, his body turning in circles constantly, afraid that demons or ghosts might suddenly charge at him. "Boy, are you Qing Xuandan's disciple?" That mysterious female voice spoke again, her alluring tone making one's imagination run wild. Guan quickly replied, "Yes, senior. Qing Xiandan is my master." "Who are you and why are you here?" "Those who are here are naturally your martial master. Qing Xiandan is my disciple. Since you entered, it means his time is up, correct?" The mysterious female voice ceased laughing and spoke with a hint of melancholy. Guan replied, "So you are my martial master. Nice to meet you, martial master." Master's life indeed came to an end. He said that he wanted to emulate you, seeking a place unknown to others to face the end of his life. The cavern fell into silence. Guan remained vigilant. If the other side wanted to attack him, no matter how he was related, he would show no mercy. The heavenly resident's sword in his hand had not yet been stained with blood. After a long while, just as Guan was about to speak, the other voice spoke again. "Did Qing Xiandan tell you my identity?" Guan whispered, "Master told me everything. You come from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. He also told me to be ready to assist someone from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion at any time. You seem timid and cowardly, cautious as you entered. You must not be here willingly, only finding out about all this after he passed the position of Valley Master to you?" The voice teased. Guan sighed, revealing his helplessness. This time, he wasn't acting, he genuinely felt helpless. "Since you have already become his disciple, you are also my disciple's disciple. Guard here for 10 more years. After 10 years, I will leave Supreme Sect and not bring you any trouble." After hearing this, Guan couldn't help but ask, "May I ask the martial master's name?" "My surname is Jiang, given name Qiong. As for my title in the immortal cultivation world, it's better not to mention it." Jiang Qiong. The name sounded pleasant enough, though who knows how many years she had lived. While Guan was pondering, a coffin in front suddenly opened, startling him to the point of raising his sword. 2 items flew out of the coffin and landed before him. He looked down and saw a small black bell and a secret book. "Consider this my gift to my disciple's disciple, the soul-shaking bell. It can repulse all myriad poison mystic skills poison spells. As long as you shake it, all corpse poisons in this cave will heed your command. The book is my technique of immortal cultivation, the Yin-Yang art. The Yin-Yang art includes the spell to refine the soul-shaking bell, something not even your master could learn." Jiang Qiong's voice came again, sounding somewhat fatigued. Guan immediately bowed in gratitude, unable to resist asking, "Disciple's talent is mediocre. Why do you treat me so well, martial master?" "Hee, mediocre talent? Boy, though it's unclear what miracle skill you practice, your actual cultivation level is certainly not limited to the 4th layer of the energy cultivation realm. You should have already entered the foundation establishment. To achieve foundation establishment at such a young age makes you a genius. The fact that you can suppress your arrogance, hiding as a servant disciple in the outer sect, hints at a burdening secret, but at least it shows you are quite resistant to Supreme Sect. Your talent satisfies me, and your behavior aligns with my taste. Cultivate well, and it'll teach you more spells later. Once you inherit my mantle, it'll recommend you for the status of true disciple in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion." Jiang Qiong resumed her previous alluring laughter, causing Guan's face to change, feeling exposed and somewhat embarrassed. Taking a deep breath, Guan said, "Thank you, martial master. If you have any instructions, please tell me at any time." After speaking, he bent down to pick up the soul-shaking bell and the yin-yang art before turning and leaving. Jiang Qiong's voice no longer echoed in the cavern, and Guan quickly returned to the 8 scenic caves. Sitting under a tree, he began to study the yin-yang art. He contemplated whether Jiang Qiong harbored any ill intentions. Just 10 years wasn't too worrying. He wasn't just a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator, he also mastered the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. Jiang Qiong clearly wasn't a good person. She only feared Guan's Foundation Establishment Realm strength. In 10 short years, how could she go from fearing the Foundation Establishment Realm to effortlessly suppressing the Nascent Soul Realm? She hadn't just hidden here, according to Qing Xiandan, she had been dead for 70 years. During these 10 years, he needed to find ways to learn more spells and secret books from her. If she behaved and departed in 10 years, Guan wouldn't have to resort to betrayal. If she harbored ill intentions, Guan would have to let the heavenly resident sword taste blood. Chapter 24, Jiang Qiong of Core Formation Realm 9 Layers. Spring passed and autumn came, 5 years flew by in the blink of an eye. In these 5 years, Guan continued his plan of dedicating a year of his life every night, resulting in an expenditure of over 1,800 years of his life over the 5 years, and his cultivation realm reached the 8th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. After surpassing the 5th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, the time required for each subsequent sub-realm doubled, and Guan, who was in the process of transformation, could only train rigorously, taking even more time. Presently, he had a remaining lifespan of about 10,200 years. The addition of the 8 scenic caves increased his annual lifespan income. 5 years passed, and 3 more servant disciples joined Mystic Valley, all of whom became disciples of Guan, 2 males and 1 female, named Tangyu, Su Han, and Jinqin in order of age from oldest to youngest. Guan no longer selected disciples based on qualifications, he chose those with mediocre qualifications to avoid trouble. Their maximum lifespan was around 200 years, and on this basis, he chose disciples who appealed to him. On this day, at the mouth of the valley, Xiaochuan, Yilan, Wuxin, Tangyu, Su Han, and Jinqin surrounded Lu Jiujia. Senior brother, I wish you success. Uncle Master, don't forget us when you go to the outer sect. Don't worry, Medicine Valley has me. If you fail, I'll definitely laugh at you. Today was the day Lu Jiujia was going to the outer sect for the assessment. Guan cut a green vine fruit into 4 parts and distributed them to the 4 junior brothers and sisters, significantly boosting their cultivation level, with Lu Jiujia being the first to reach the 9th layer of the Qi cultivation realm. It was worth mentioning that ever since consuming the green vine fruit, Wuxin had completely calmed down, practicing diligently in his room every night without wandering the mountains. He also became more hardworking in his tasks. The 23-year-old Lu Jiujia was full of high spirits. He looked towards the pavilion where his senior brother lived and saw his senior brother standing by the window watching him, which warmed his heart. Wait for my good news, I won't let you down, senior brother. Lu Jiujia said with a proud smile, then turned and left. With years of practice in the residual wind leg, he felt he could make a name for himself in the outer sect. Guan, dressed in a white-bottomed black robe, watched Lu Jiujia leave from afar, with mixed emotions in his heart. He couldn't tell whether it was relief or reluctance, perhaps both. I'm only 27 and already feeling so emotional, what will happen when I'm 200, 2000, or even 20,000 years old? Guan laughed self-deprecatingly. He turned and walked to the table, sat down, picked up the Green Hero Travelogue, and continued to savor it. This Green Hero Travelogue was published last year and in his opinion, it was a peak masterpiece. The author's skills in writing about fleeting emotions had reached the transformation realm. An ancient hour later, Wuxin came to visit. At 21, he was still dressed as a monk. Guan often teased him as a handsome monk Tang, especially after Guan had specially ordered a monk robe for him from the outer sect, enhancing his charm even more. Senior brother, I have finished watering the garden on the mountain, is there anything else you need today? Wuxin softly asked as he walked to Guan's side, casting a glance at the Green Hero Travelogue, his fair face instantly turned red. Without raising his eyes, Guan said, there's nothing else, you can go practice now. Wuxin walked to the opposite side of the table but did not leave, looking hesitant. Guan glanced at him and asked, is there something else? In his black robe, he already had the oppressive aura of a superior. In recent years, Medicine Valley's harvest was good, and he, without a private fund, bought new clothes for everyone in Medicine Valley, making them no longer look like servant disciples. Wuxin gritted his teeth and said, "Senior brother, to be honest, with my qualifications, I can never join the outer sect. I truly wish to accompany you in the Medicine Valley for the rest of my life." Guan put down the Green Hero travelogue and studied him carefully. Isn't this just one meaning behind his words? He wanted to progress. Guan frowned with a look of difficulty. Seeing his expression, Wuxin became anxious and directly knelt down. "Senior brother, what's missing in me? I work harder and am more obedient than them, yet they all want to go to the outer sect, but I don't." Wuxin said excitedly, his eyes turning red. Guan noticed that he had activated some cultivation technique, causing his chi blood to surge. "You brat, are you trying to imitate me?" Guan said earnestly, "Wuxin, in my heart, there is no one better or worse, like the green vine fruit, I split it equally among you. But the position of the chief disciple is very important, even representing the next valley master. Although I am a servant disciple, my treatment is not inferior to that of ordinary outer sect disciples. I must repay the sect's kindness. You seem to be hiding something from me, of course, everyone has their unspeakable reasons. I don't want to ask more, you will always be my junior brother, but the position of the chief disciple," he sighed at the end, showing a helpless expression. Wuxin was stunned, not expecting that his actions from years ago had been noticed by senior brother early on. His first reaction was panic, followed by moving emotion. That nighttime intelligence probe took place 5 years ago, yet senior brother had tolerated him for 5 years. What does that mean? Senior brother truly considered him as one of his own. Putting himself in senior brother's shoes, Wuxin felt that if he were in senior brother's place, he would have severely punished such a junior brother long ago. Wuxin felt more and more ashamed the more he thought. He really couldn't act anymore. Senior brother, actually, Wuxin gritted his teeth, seeming to make a huge decision. Actually, I come from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. My father is one of the 72 pavilion masters of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I am dull-witted and constantly bullied by my brothers and sisters, so I escaped. The reason I wandered around during those nights was because I heard about senior brother Li Ya's deeds. I wanted to see if there was any opportunity to prove myself to my father in the future, but I have given up now. I can't compare to my brothers and sisters, or even to Lu Jiojia, Wuxin said in one breath, lowering his head, not daring to look at Guan's face showed shock and disbelief. You, hearing senior brother's trembling voice, Wuxin felt even more ashamed, pressing his forehead tightly to the ground. Guan truly hadn't expected Wuxin to be from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. What is this? Might as well call it the Thousand Autumn Valley instead of the Mystic Valley. Guan secretly spread his divine sense, forming an invisible barrier to prevent eavesdropping. He was silent for a while, then heavily sighed and said, "Forget it, stand up and talk first." Tense and uneasy, Wuxin breathed a sigh of relief. Wuxin stood up and saw the complex expression on Guan's face, feeling even more moved. Indeed, senior brother truly cared for him. "I'm not very familiar with the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I heard it's a demonic sect?" Guan asked, taking a deep breath. Wuxin nodded and said, "Indeed it is, and the most evil demonic sect, skilled in corpse path, poison skills, soul capturing, and poison creatures. I couldn't stay there, so I escaped. Will your father come looking for you?" "I have to consider other disciples." Guan asked worriedly. Wuxin quickly waved his hand. "He would never look for me, he would rather I was dead. I am his greatest humiliation." Hearing this, Guan's face relaxed a bit, sternly scolding, "Wuxin, I won't allow you to belittle yourself like this. How can a person's worth be judged solely by their cultivation level?" Wuxin scratched his head and said with a silly laugh, "I know, but the Thousand Autumn Pavilion is a demonic sect, and people in demonic sects are not normal." Guan nodded, as if remembering something, and asked, "By the way, have you heard of the name Qiong in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion?" Qiong? Wuxin was taken aback, frowning in thought. After a few breaths, he suddenly recalled and said, I remember. She was the top genius of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion 100 years ago and the daughter of the second pavilion master, but she has fallen for many years. I heard my father mention her when I was young. He even wanted my elder brother to marry Qiong. Hearing this, Guan couldn't help but ask curiously, "How old is your father?" Wuxin replied, "Almost 500 years old, with over 100 children, so he wouldn't care even if I was lost." Guan was silent. The demonic Sect style is somewhat enviable. Guan asked a few more questions, but Wuxin didn't know much about Qiong. "Since you have confessed your origins, I will train you to be the chief disciple. If the chief disciple position of a valley can bring back a lost demonic cultivator, it can be considered a merit. But for now, you cannot reveal this to anyone. You must win over everyone in the valley with your actions," Guan said seriously. Hearing this, Wuxin was overjoyed. He was about to bow and thank Guan, but Guan continued to remind, "From now on, you cannot mention the Thousand Autumn Pavilion even one bit, not even when alone. This is the supreme sect, even self-talk might be overheard." Wuxin nodded repeatedly, following the guidance meticulously. The two brothers shifted topics and chatted about other casual matters. Wuxin felt closer to senior brother, a feeling that made him grateful and realizing that he should have confessed to senior brother much earlier. At night, in the 8 scenic caves, Guan came to an open space by the underground river and began planting medicinal herbs. His movements were slow. Normally, he didn't practice much but enjoyed the planting process, planting lives instead of plants. The love of farming ingrained in Huaxia people came with his soul to the immortal cultivation world. After planting, he looked at his newly developed garden with satisfaction, orderly and uniquely beautiful. "My dear disciple, come in for a moment." Qiong's melodious voice came from within a cave, and Guan immediately walked over. Over the years, Qiong often called him to help pick herbs, sometimes even for alchemy. Guan wasn't working for free, his alchemy skills improved significantly in the process. Qiong's alchemy was far superior to Zuanden's, evident even in teaching. Arriving at the cave room, it was still dimly lit, with a pill furnace half the height of a person placed in the open space, ashes piled under the furnace. Just as Guan was about to speak, he heard a noise and looked closely, only to see a coffin in the depths start to shake. Boom! The coffin lid fell, crashing to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Guan saw a skeletal hand, like a ghost claw, emerge from the standing coffin. He immediately cast a lifespan detection. Qiong, Core Formation Realm 9th Layer 185/304/2490, good heavens. A maximum lifespan close to 2,500 years. Why did the Core Formation Realm 9th Layer only have 300 years of lifespan? Could it be related to her injuries? Guan wondered, while the last trace of apprehension in his heart disappeared. Chapter 25. Have you ever heard of the Nascent Soul Realm? Crack, a shriveled foot stepped out from the coffin, crushing a piece of charcoal beneath it. Guan saw that it was a woman in tattered clothes, her hair disheveled and her body emaciated to the point of exaggeration, as if all her flesh and blood had been drained. The robe on her body, though in tatters, vaguely revealed a white garment. She wobbled out like a malicious ghost. Qiong slowly lifted her face, her features equally shriveled, with deep-set eyes and bulging pupils, looking terrifying. Her gaze fell on Guan, scaring him so much that he quickly lowered his head. "Good grand disciple, thanks to your help in alchemy these past 5 years, I've recovered quickly." Qiong forced a smile, which looked even more horrifying, with foul air still spraying out from her mouth. She no longer referred to herself in the grandiose manner but simply as I, closing the gap between them considerably. Guan forcibly held back his discomfort and said, "This is what a grand disciple should do, though I am perplexed about one thing." "Ask away." Qiong replied as she staggered toward the pill furnace. Guan watched her and asked, "Since refining elixirs can help you recover quickly, why didn't you let my master help you before?" Qiong thought Qiong had been dead for 70 years, meaning she had been hiding here for that long, and Qiong had never discovered she was still alive. Qiong replied with a grim smile, "Because I didn't trust him." Your master was forced to become my disciple, his heart wavers. Who knows when he might betray me? Half of the coffins in this cave are filled with his disciples. Guan remained silent. He believed Qiong was telling the truth, as Meng Lang had met such an end. Qiong sat in front of the pill furnace, waving her hand. The medicinal herbs piled nearby flew into the furnace one by one. 5 years have passed. What layer of the Foundation Establishment realm are you at now? Qiong asked. Guan's outward cultivation level was at the 5th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, but Qiong believed he was at the Foundation Establishment realm. Guan replied, almost at the 3rd layer. Too slow. Don't slack off in your regular cultivation. When I was your age, I established my foundation at 18 and formed my core at 40. If I hadn't spent decades studying the alchemy Tao and array formations, I would have been at the Nascent Soul Realm by now. Have you heard of the Nascent Soul Realm? Qiong absent-mindedly asked while staring at the pill furnace. Guan hurriedly nodded and said, those in the Nascent Soul Realm are immortals, rarely seen in the outer sect. What immortals, just stronger cultivators. When I fully recover, they'll find a place to break through to the Nascent Soul Realm. By then, you'll have a Nascent Soul Realm powerhouse backing you. Are you excited? Qiong said with a gleeful tone towards the end. Her voice sounded charming, completely at odds with her horrific image. Thank you for your care, Master. Do you need any help? Guan stepped forward and asked. Qiong replied, just watch me refine the elixir, and we can chat. She patted her hand, motioning Guan to sit beside her. Guan sat down, keeping his distance, while maintaining his vigilance. No matter how kind Qiong was, he would not let his guard down until she left. Meng Lang's fate served as a warning. He likely never suspected Qing Xiandan until his death. Qiong inquired about his background, and Guan gave a brief overview of his early life, omitting his connection to the Ji family, instead saying he was born a house servant who, after discovering his spirit root, joined the Supreme Sect. After a lengthy conversation of nearly an hour, Qiong finally let Guan go, instructing him to come back for the next 3 nights, promising great rewards upon success. Guan arrived as scheduled. The 3rd night arrived. Guan sat opposite the pill furnace meditating, holding the yin-yang art, occasionally asking Qiong questions. Qiong, growing annoyed, couldn't help but scold, are you deliberately deceiving me? How could someone so young reach the Foundation Establishment realm and yet be so dull-minded? Guan replied, feeling wronged, alchemy is alchemy, and energy absorption is energy absorption. Qiong suddenly had nothing to say, then her attention was drawn to the pill furnace. Steam poured increasingly from the furnace, the vent hole turned dark green, appearing eerie. Guan felt a chill. What elixir was she refining? It felt like a poison elixir. Qiong's eyes shone with excitement as she fell silent, focusing on the pill furnace. Time passed second by second. Guan remained on guard, ready to fend off any sudden moves from Qiong. Who knows how much time had passed? The pill furnace emitted a muffled sound, and a grin, more horrifying than a cry, spread across Qiong's face. She raised her right hand, and with 2 fingers, the furnace lid flew off. A pill shot out, which she caught and instantly swallowed. So fast. As if afraid Guan would snatch it. After swallowing the pill, Qiong immediately sat cross-legged to cultivate. Within 3 breaths, wisps of white steam emanated from her body. Guan stood up and cautiously retreated, keeping his distance. The white steam increasingly surrounded Qiong, making her figure blurry, resembling a zombie shrouded in mist. Guan continually monitored her lifespan, wary of her sudden breakthrough to the Nascent Soul Realm. Qiong's lifespan began to grow, the sight of which amazed Guan for it to be represented in numbers. He suddenly became very interested in Qiong's elixirs. What miraculous elixir was this? Qiong wasn't just increasing her lifespan, her aura was rapidly rising, soon surpassing that of the Foundation Establishment realm. A true core formation realm cultivator. Guan keenly observed Qiong's body recovering, her physique growing denser like a balloon inflating. Impressive. He patiently waited. Soon, the cave echoed with Jiang Qiong's increasingly heavy breathing, resembling the roars of a wild beast towards the end. After a long while, Jiang Qiong's breathing suddenly stopped. Guan realized she had not broken through to the Nascent Soul Realm and thus felt less tense. From within the white mist, Jiang Qiong stretched, her graceful figure emerging, starkly different from before. She walked out of the mist, still with disheveled hair and wearing tattered clothes, but the pale skin beneath her rags made Guan's face flush in the dim cave, causing him to avert his gaze. "It's been so long since I walked like this," Jiang Qiong said nostalgically, striding up to Guan, leaning forward, brushing her hair aside with both hands. "Well, good grand disciple, is your master beautiful?" Guan stole a glance and, despite her dirty face, saw her features were indeed those of a rare beauty, comparable only to the third miss of the Ji family, Ji Xiaoyu, and the outer disciple, Li Xuanyu. "Master is indeed one of the most beautiful in the world, but I am more concerned about your health. Have your injuries healed?" Guan asked with genuine concern as he cupped his hands. If she recovered, she should hurry and leave. "Recovery will take more time, I still need to rest for another 5 years." Jiang Qiong smiled, her bright eyes studying Guan thoughtfully. Suddenly, she struck at Guan with a palm, swift as lightning, stopping just short of his chest, the force of the wind pulling his robe backward. Jiang Qiong asked with a faint smile, "Why didn't you dodge?" Guan's face stiffened as he replied, "I couldn't react in time. In truth, it was not so." To him, Jiang Qiong's actions were too slow. In that instant, his dragon strength could have repelled her spiritual power. She had not spared Guan's life but rather saved herself. Jiang Qiong couldn't help but laugh, her laughter as captivating as flowers in bloom, even clutching her stomach in the end. Guan watched her laugh without interrupting. After a while, Jiang Qiong turned back to the pill furnace and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill my own disciples and grand disciples. When Qing Xiandan tried to betray me, I spared his life and even used his protection to hide within the Supreme Sect. As long as you are devoted to me, I will never forsake you. If anyone bullies you, I won't stand by." Guan couldn't help but laugh at her words. Jiang Qiong stood before the pill furnace, turning to Guan, "Leave a set of new clothes. You may go now. Come back tomorrow night and I will teach you some spells." Guan immediately took a set of his own white robes from his storage bag, gently placing them on the ground, then bowed to Jiang Qiong and took his leave. Once he disappeared into the darkness, Jiang Qiong turned around. Approaching the white robes, she raised her hand and telekinetically picked them up, inhaling their scent with a chuckle. At dawn, Guan was leading the people of Medicine Valley in exercises. Someone approached the entrance of the valley. It was Liya. Liya was still dressed in black. Compared to 5 years ago, he exuded an overwhelming aura of strength. His arrival instantly grabbed everyone's attention. "It's senior brother Liya," Xiaochuan exclaimed in delight. Guan immediately walked toward Liya, instructing everyone to continue with their exercises. He reached Liya and was about to speak when Liya cut in first, "Let's talk upstairs." Something urgent?" Guan instantly grew tense. What matter required Liya to come personally? He led Liya to the pavilion, ascending the stairs and entering the room before closing the door. Liya walked to the table, with a wave of his hand, a green vine fruit appeared on it, leaving Guan astonished. 4 years ago, the Elixir Hall in the outer sect acquired a green vine fruit. I bought it, but due to heavy tasks, didn't get a chance to give it to you. Liya smiled. Guan's expression turned strange. Liya asked, "What's the matter?" Feeling that he couldn't hide it, Guan cleared his throat and said, "I was the one who sold that fruit to the Elixir Hall." To avoid suspicion, he had sold it at a low price, earning praise from the Elixir Hall elder for his gratitude towards the sect. Guan, emboldened by Liya's assurance that green vine fruits were not rare in the Supreme Sect, had sold it. The outer sect had none, but the inner sect had plenty, and the inner sect possessed many miraculous treasures. Unexpectedly, Liya had bought it back. Liya sighed and said, this is quite a mess. This fruit can boost Qi blood, a precious natural treasure. How could you sell it? For how many spirit stones? 20 mid-grade spirit stones, what? I paid 10 top-grade spirit stones. Li Ya's eyes widened. 1 top-grade spirit stone was equivalent to 100 mid-grade spirit stones. The two fell into silence simultaneously. In truth, Guan felt it wasn't a loss. Using the green vine fruit, he had forged a good friendship with Zhu Qinglu at the Elixir Hall, who had provided him many conveniences over the past 4 years. But facing Li Ya, he felt a bit embarrassed. Li Ya finally said, "Forget it, consider it our contribution to the sect. Besides this fruit, I have another matter to discuss with you." Chapter 26, Outer Sect Assembly. What's the matter? Guan asked, praying in his heart that it was not something troublesome. He didn't want to get involved in the conflicts of the outer sect. Leah smiled, "Don't you like planting? I remember you mentioned before that you helped an outer disciple manage his cave. Now, there's just such an opportunity. The treatment is good, helping for a year can earn you a mid-grade spirit stone and a bottle of spirit energy elixir." When Guan heard this, he realized what it was about and breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he could earn longevity, he wouldn't refuse. After all, he didn't practice much daily and had plenty of time. He began to inquire about the employer's identity. Li Ya didn't hide anything either, that outer disciple was Li Ya's friend, and his cave was near the outer gate city. After Guan agreed, Li Ya immediately took him there. Li Ya flew using sword control, and Guan stood behind him, sharing the same sword. Their figures made Xiaochuan, Yilan, and others look on with longing. Flying using sword control, who wouldn't long for it? The tall Tangyu sighed, "If only Master could learn sword control technique from martial uncle Li Ya and then teach us, wouldn't that be great?" Beside him, the slender and handsome Su Han nodded. Although he had been in Medicine Valley for 4 years, he still longed for the outer sect in his heart. Not only him, but Tang Yu and Jin Qin also felt the same. Yilan, however, said nothing more and pulled Jin Qin back to their courtyard for practice. On the other side, in the mountains, Li Ya flew very fast, his gaze was fixed forward, his black robe fluttering, and his hair flying messily, exuding a free and uninhibited aura. "I noticed that there are more servant disciples in Medicine Valley than before. Junior brother Gu, try to recruit fewer disciples and invest more spirit stones in your cultivation," Li Ya said earnestly. Although Guan always said his talent was lacking, he still saw hope. He didn't want a century to pass and still be in his prime while Guan had already entered his sunset years. Over the years in the Supreme Sect, Li Ya had a few good friends and some with shared interests, but none compared to junior brother Gu in his heart. Junior brother Gu was the only one who treated him well without seeking anything in return, a friendship he didn't want to lose. Guan smiled, "Senior brotherly, don't worry. The reason I'm recruiting more disciples is that the garden land in Medicine Valley has increased. The medicinal herbs I turn in every year are likewise increasing, and the elixir hall is gradually improving my treatment. I won't give up on cultivation." When Li Ya heard this, a smile appeared on his face. "That's true. You are diligent and hardworking, you will surely achieve something. I can't compare to senior brother. Your reputation in the outer sect is so prominent." The two began to praise each other. Li Ya usually disliked such flattery, but somehow, he was inexplicably happy when it came from junior brother Gu. 2 ancient hours later, Li Ya delivered Guan back to Mystic Valley and then flew away using sword control. As soon as Guan landed, he was surrounded by 2 disciples, Su Han and Jin Qin. They were curious about where Guan had been. Guan didn't hide it. After saying a few words, he sent them away. Lu Zhijia's departure greatly stimulated the disciples in Medicine Valley, making it much quieter. Whenever they had free time, they would cultivate in their respective houses, wanting to catch up to Lu Zhijia as soon as possible. Guan returned to his room and picked up the Yin Yang art to start reading. Tonight, Qiong would begin teaching him spells, and he was quite looking forward to it. What cultivator would mind having more spells? Moreover, Guan lacked many basic spells. Late at night, 8 scenic caves. Under the green vine tree, Qiong, dressed in white, let her black hair drape freely like a fairy descended to the mortal world. At this moment, her beautiful face was full of annoyance. Why are you so stupid? I've told you the breathing technique several times, why can't you remember it? Qiong scolded, trying to suppress her anger. She stood beside Guan, her eyes fixed on the black qi in his hand. She was teaching him the soul-capturing skill, a technique that could capture souls and was extremely sinister. Guan said helplessly, "Martial Master, how long have you been teaching me? Can't you have some patience?" "No, it's just," Qiong suddenly didn't know what to say. Before recovering her body, she had looked forward to teaching Guan, as she viewed him as a genius, but the result differed from her expectations. This kid was too strange. Teach him the sword control technique, and he would understand it instantly. But teaching him anything else was like showing it to a novice in the way of immortal cultivation. In terms of sword Dao, Guan was absolutely the most talented she had ever seen. But the problem was, she wasn't proficient in sword Dao. If I were to master everything easily, would I end up as a servant disciple? Guan sighed. Qiong held back for a long time and finally said, "You don't have to be so stupid, do you?" Guan's hand trembled. Truly worthy of someone from the demon path, her words were so damning. Guan's temper flared, "I have my strengths too. In terms of sword Dao talent, even you may not match me, Martial Master." Qiong, hearing this, suddenly felt amused and asked with a smile, "Then shall we try? We won't use spiritual power, but only test our sword moves." "All right." Guan let go of his hands, and the black qi dissipated. He then stood up, ready to teach Qiong a lesson. Qiong moved 2 steps to the side, raised her right hand, and extended her index and middle fingers together, smiling, "Since we're sparring, let's not hurt each other. Well, use fingers as swords." Guan nodded, placing his left hand behind his waist and his right hand in front. Qiong squinted. For some reason, when Guan raised his hand, she felt inexplicably nervous. What's wrong with me? How can a foundation establishment disciple scare me? Qiong cursed herself inwardly for losing the arrogance she once had. Immediately, she raised her fingers and thrust towards Guan, using core formation speed. Guan parried her fingers with his own, like flicking a sword, pushing her arm aside. Qiong's eyes narrowed, her steps shifting like a phantom past Guan's side, and her fingers, like swords, pointed at his ribs. Guan turned, his fingers pointing downward, stabbing, and hitting her hand back, causing her to feel a sting and withdraw instinctively. Under the tree, they moved around, countering each other's moves. Qiong's attacks were fierce, while Guan's movements flowed smoothly. After 30 moves, Guan noticed Qiong getting anxious, so he revealed a flaw, allowing her to strike him in the abdomen. He then clutched his stomach and staggered back. Qiong didn't press the attack. She stood up, her eyes intensely staring at Guan. Guan pretended to be in pain, but her gaze terrified him. What kind of look was that? It felt as if she wanted to eat him whole. Qiong took a deep breath and said, Good. I've still underestimated your sword Dao comprehension. Your moves just now, though lacking form, were simple and direct, targeting your opponent's flaws. You are a sword Dao genius rare in 100 years. If you had a good mentor, you could surely become famous as a sword cultivator in the future. Guan shook his head, being famous is out of the question. If that happens, many people will come looking for trouble. I hate fighting, let alone killing. Qiong was stunned, finding it very amusing. It was the first time she had met such a cowardly genius. It's my fault for being impatient and scolding you. Come, let's continue practicing the soul-capturing skill. Even though you're suited for sword Dao, some spells are essential to have, just in case. Qiong beckoned. Guan immediately moved closer to continue practicing the soul-capturing skill. After some sparring, Qiong's attitude improved greatly, speaking kindly and occasionally giving him goosebumps. Thus, Guan visited the 8 scenic caves every night to practice spells with Qiong. Once he mastered a spell to the point of appearing on his attribute panel, he would start practicing the next spell. Qiong thought he was discouraged, so she didn't press him. After all, she had many spells to teach. While healing, she found it quite enjoyable to mentor a junior. Besides, Guan went to the cave of the outer disciple once a month to look after the medicinal herbs. At the end of the year, with snowflakes flying, covering the sky and blocking the sun, Guan, wearing a bamboo hat, climbed the mountainside and arrived at a cave. Just as he was about to take out his token, he sensed something. There were people inside. Not just one person. Guan immediately wanted to leave, but the voices inside the cave stopped abruptly. If he left now, it would prove he could penetrate the restriction and detect what was happening inside the cave. He could only press the token on the mountain gate, causing the gate to open. He stepped into the cave, walked through the path, and reached the cave chamber. When he saw 3 people inside, he was stunned and quickly bowed. "Sorry, I didn't know the seniors had returned. I'll leave at once." With that, he turned to leave. The cave's owner, Chenli, appeared to be in his early 40s with a scholarly and elegant demeanor. He raised his hand and said with a smile, "No need. Do what you need to do, and we'll continue our conversation." Hearing this, Guan could only turn back, bow again, and then head towards the herb area not far away. Guan noticed the other 2 people. One was a woman who was none other than Li Xuanyu, whom he had previously fought against. The other was not Jiang but another man, refined and handsome, like a nobleman from a painting. Even a man would be amazed at his appearance. Li Xuanyu recognized Guan but didn't speak. Guan secretly scanned the handsome man's lifespan. Xiao Qinjun, Core Formation Realm, First Layer 58/621/1508, Core Formation Realm, First Layer. An inner sect disciple? Chenli noticed Guan starting to pick herbs and turned to look at Li Xuanyu and Xiao Qinjun with a sigh. The Outer Sect Grand Tournament is about to start, and this time it's hosted by the Supreme Sect. Our pressure has increased. Xiao Qinjun smiled. What's there to fear? The Outer Sect has many talents. Even if sects and factions join forces, it's hard to surpass the Supreme Sect. In the Taicang dynasty, the Supreme Sect is the strongest. Chenli shook his head. I heard the Ancient Sky Sect, Heavenly Extinction Sect, and Thousand Autumn Pavilion each have dual spirit roots, geniuses in the Outer Sect, deliberately holding back their realms, waiting for this grand tournament. He paused and looked at Xiao Qinjun thoughtfully. Junior brother Xiao, why didn't you wait a bit before breaking through? Your master should have known. Xiao Qinjun laughed. Senior brother Chen, the Outer Sect Grand Tournament happens twice within a century. As cultivators, how can we be so mindful of winning or losing? Moreover, the Supreme Sect produces talents every year. Don't worry, the burden will not be solely on you. The 3 chatted and laughed about the Outer Sect Grand Tournament. Most of the conversation was between Xiao Qinjun and Chenli, with Li Xuanyu occasionally joining in. Chapter 27 Wanyin Sect, Su Ruye. The competition of the Outer Sect in the world? The geniuses of the major sects gathering at the Supreme Sect? Including disciples from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion? Guan listened with great interest. Such a grand event must be very exciting. However, he was a bit worried whether the cultivators from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion would take the opportunity to find him and force him to provide information on the Supreme Sect. Chenli and the others started talking about other matters, with the topic gradually shifting to the inner sect. Chenli was very interested in the inner sect and curious about what it was like. Xiao Qinjun gave a brief explanation about the bustling inner sect city, the profound heritage of the peak's inheritances, and the rich array of missions and rewards. Guan seemed to be listening to a story. However, Guan still wasn't yearning for it. Inner sect disciples also had to defend the Taicang dynasty, not only to slay demons within the country but also to help the dynasty fend off invasions from other dynasties. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. When Guan was done and had harvested the lifespan of several hundred years, he came to Chenli, ready to bid farewell. You are quite meticulous in your work. Could you also help me watch over the grotto heaven? Li Xuanyu suddenly asked. Hearing this, Chenli immediately smiled and said, This lad's work is indeed satisfactory and he is very disciplined. He was recommended by Liya, so he is trustworthy. Li Xuanyu stared at Guan, waiting for his response. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Guan couldn't refuse and nodded in agreement. You two continue your conversation. It'll take him to get familiar with the area, Li Xuanyu said, then got up and left. Guan quickly bowed to Chen Li and Xiao Qinjun and then followed the pace of Li Xuanyu. After the Grotto Heaven's mountain gate closed, Xiao Qinjun asked with a smile, the enmity within the Li family is really complicated. Do you think junior sister Li and Liya bear any grudges against each other? Chen Li shook his head and said, how could there be grudges? If there were, she wouldn't have spoken up for Liya back then. Liya would have been killed by Qiong long ago. Now that Qiong has been missing for years, I suspect he was killed by Liya. Xiao Qinjun lifted his teacup, his gaze becoming subtle. After leaving the Grotto Heaven, Guan followed Li Xuanyu. They rode the same flying sword but kept a proper distance from each other. Standing behind Li Xuanyu, Guan could smell a unique fragrance, much better than the scent on Qiong. Although Qiong had already washed, the odor of death hadn't completely dissipated yet. They traveled in silence, as Li Xuanyu's cold temperament made Guan hesitate to speak. Her Grotto Heaven wasn't too far from Chenli's. They landed after a short while. Guan distinctly felt that the restriction in her Grotto Heaven was stronger, and this feeling became even more intense upon entry. Such dense spiritual energy. Li Xuanyu began to explain the origins and cultivation process of the medicinal herbs within the Grotto Heaven, and Guan listened attentively. After half an hour, Li Xuanyu handed him a token. With this token, he could directly open the Grotto Heaven, offering him the same treatment as Chen Li. For Guan, harvesting the lifespan from medicinal herbs was enough. If he could get spirit stones, he wouldn't refuse them either. Guan cupped his hands to salute and took his leave. Wait, what is your relationship with Liya? Li Xuanyu suddenly asked. Guan paused, turned back, and said, Liya is my senior brother, naturally, we have a good relationship. He could tell that Li Xuanyu probably had a good relationship with Liya. If there were enmities, she wouldn't use him, a servant disciple, to frame Liya, would she? Li Xuanyu didn't say much, only nodded slightly. Guan bid farewell once again. Managing the Grotto Heaven for an outer disciple wasn't exhausting. Generally, he had to visit once every half-month or month. Guan felt he could take on more work. His aspirations were growing richer, the 8 scenic caves and Mystic Valley were the main trunk of it. If branches could be extended, he could gain more lifespan. Strive to reach a lifespan of 100,000 years as soon as possible. Winter's snow melted, and spring arrived. At dusk, Mystic Valley started to hang lanterns and put up decorations. In front of the pavilion, the youngest disciple, Zhenqin, squatted on the ground, cutting paper and quietly asking, Master, what is the significance of the spring festival? She was 9 years younger than Guan, with a sweet appearance, large eyes, a petite figure, and a gentle personality. Even Lu Jiojia and Xiaochuan were very fond of her. When I was a child, I heard an old man say that the spring festival represents the start of a new year, bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new. At this time of year, people bless each other. Since we have no major celebrations in Medicine Valley, let's set the spring festival as a celebration, Guan said, sitting nearby, weaving a lantern. Not far away, Wu Xin, Xiaochuan, and Tang Yu were hanging lanterns and pasting red paper. Yilan was preparing the dishes, while Su Han was checking various garden areas. After hearing this, Zhenqin's face lit up with anticipation. Guan had suddenly thought of the spring festival a few days ago. Upon hearing the members of Medicine Valley discuss their hometowns, he remembered his past life on Earth. It was precisely the spring festival season, so he decided to establish the spring festival as the first holiday in Mystic Valley. In the future, other holidays could be arranged to make life in Medicine Valley less monotonous. He wondered if there were other Earthlings in this mortal world. Guan silently thought to himself. He created the story of the spring festival from what he had heard from an old man simply as a precaution. At this moment, Guan's brows furrowed. He sensed two unpleasant auras approaching Mystic Valley, less than 10 miles away. Those two had cultivation levels in the Foundation Establishment realm, but their auras carried a strong scent of blood. They had killed many people. With the competition of the outer sect in the world about to start, could it be that demon cultivators were here for a visit? Guan silently prayed, hoping the visitors wouldn't enter Medicine Valley. However, what he feared came true as the two flew straight towards Mystic Valley. In no time, their figures appeared at the mountain peak, overlooking Medicine Valley. It was a man and a woman, both dressed in dark purple robes, with a sinister aura. Even in the daytime, they looked like malevolent ghosts. The woman's posture was seductive, with heavy makeup and long, claw-like nails. She covered her mouth and laughed. Mr. Su, we're not far from the outer sect of the Supreme Sect. Why not rest here for a while and gather some intel from these servant disciples? The man next to her had a robust build and a stern face, wearing a purple crown with a red gem embedded in it, resembling a crimson vertical eye. A bunch of energy cultivation realm bugs, what can we learn from their mouths? The man in purple said coldly. He was from the Wanyin sect, named Su Ruye, here with his Taoist friend Changji to participate in the competition of the outer sect in the world. Changji laughed, you know the people from the Supreme Sect. Their strength isn't great, yet they love to gang up on others. If we arrive early, we will surely be swarmed with trouble. It's better to wait here. Su Ruye agreed after hearing this. He then leaped down, and Changji followed suit. Guan looked up and immediately used the lifespan detection. Su Ruye, Foundation Establishment Realm 9 Layers 67/389/920, Changji, Foundation Establishment Realm 7th Layer 74/370/605, they seemed to be geniuses. Guan stood up, and Jinqin, following his gaze, saw Su Ruye and Changji and hurriedly hid behind her master in fear. Even Xiaochuan, Wuxin, and Tang Yu noticed the arrival of the demon cultivators. They immediately put down their work and ran towards Guan. Su Ruye and Changji landed in the garden area, their eyes scanning the medicinal herbs, which made Guan tense up. The security of the Supreme Sect was too lax. On the eve of such a grand event, they didn't dispatch disciples to patrol? Guan silently cursed, but he also understood that, to the Supreme Sect, the value of Mystic Valley was mediocre, as it grew only low-rank medical herbs for the outer sect. Changji turned to Guan and the others, asking, who is the Valley Master here? Guan stepped forward and cupped his hands, that would be me. May I ask what the two seniors need? Changji cast a coquettish look at Guan and asked with a smile, young lad, my husband and I are going to the competition at the Supreme Sect and want to rest in your valley for a few days. What do you think? Su Rui's gaze turned towards Yilan and Jinqin behind Guan, his chilly eyes making the two women uneasy. Yilan frowned and stood in front of Jinqin. Guan felt displeased but sensed a familiar aura approaching. He asked, may I ask where the two seniors are from? Changji's eyes turned cold, ready to speak. Why waste words with him? With his cultivation at the 5th layer of the energy cultivation realm, can he drive us away? Su Ruye said impatiently. A terrifying killing intent erupted from within him, changing the expressions of everyone present, as if they were in an ice cellar. Are the two from the Wanyin sect here to become enemies of the Supreme Sect? A cold voice came from the sky. Everyone looked up to see Li Xuanyu standing on a flying sword, facing the wind like an immortal. Li Xuanyu. Changji gritted out every word, her teeth clenched. Li Xuanyu spoke, come with me. With that, she turned and quickly disappeared behind the mountain. Su Ruye leaped up. A gourd at his waist flew out, quickly enlarged, and landed beneath his feet. Changji followed suit, jumping onto the gourd behind him. The two then flew away on the gourd. The people in Medicine Valley breathed a sigh of relief. Were those two demon cultivators? Su Han couldn't help but ask, his face pale from Su Rui's killing intent. Wuxin replied, yes, the Wanyin sect is a powerful demonic school. Xiaochuan grumbled, aren't we, the Supreme Sect, a reputable sect? Why invite a demonic sect? The disciples began discussing the matter, all overwhelmed with fear. If not for Li Zuanyi's appearance, a disaster would have befallen them tonight. Guan glanced towards the horizon, slightly frowning. Then, he asked everyone to continue preparing for the spring festival and went back to his house to rest for a while. Dusk came, and the sky turned crimson. Guan stood by the side window of the pavilion, feeling faint fighting movements from afar, about 30 miles from Mystic Valley. Suddenly, sensing something, he flipped over the window and quickly vanished into the forest. In the distant forest, trees were tilted and the ground was full of horrifying cracks. Su Ruye and Chan Ji stood shoulder to shoulder, with disdainful smiles on their faces. Opposite them stood not only Li Xuanyu but also Li Ya. The 9 devastating swords of the Li family are impressive, but your cultivation levels are lacking, Su Ruye sneered coldly, his right hand's fingers moving, with strands of purple energy swirling around his fingertips. Li Ya's mouth corners were stained with blood, and his right hand holding the sword was trembling. Li Xuanyu beside him was also injured, though not as severely as Li Ya. Chapter 28 Flying Leaves to Annihilate the Enemy, Such Overbearing Sword Qi. Chan Ji ignored Li Ya, her gaze fixed on Li Xuanyu. She smiled seductively and said, Li Xuanyu, aren't you a girl of heavenly pride? How come you're so miserable? It seems that you and your brother from the Li family are no match for us. Su Ruye took a step towards Li Ya. Li Xuanyu suddenly threw her sword, and as the blade flew, it split into 4 sword shadows, all aimed at Su Ruye. Su Ruye reacted extremely quickly. With a wave of his right hand, the purple qi in his hand exploded like flames, forcibly blocking Li Zuanyi's sword. Chan Ji, like a ghost, appeared behind Li Xuanyu with a red fan in her hand. She fanned it forcefully, and a rolling red poisonous mist surged forth, forcing Li Xuanyu to dodge. The red poisonous mist quickly spread through the mountains and forests. A giant python could be vaguely seen moving swiftly in the mist. Wherever it passed, the red mist rose and quickly surrounded Li Ya and Li Xuanyu. Li Xuanyu landed beside Li Ya, her eyes scanning the surroundings. Chan Ji's figure was no longer visible, while Su Ruye hovered above the forest, looking down at them. How dare you harbor murderous intent in the Supreme Sect's territory? Li Ya asked in a deep voice. Su Rui's lips curled up in a mocking smile. He said sarcastically, I've long heard that the Supreme Sect's land is vast. Since the current sect leader took office, the Supreme Sect's control over the border has weakened, seemingly allowing the disciples to resolve conflicts themselves. The 8 outer gate cities are like a wall. Inside the wall is a reputable sect, but outside, it's survival of the fittest, no different from the demon path. We've been fighting for so long, and no one has come to help. It seems the Supreme Sect hasn't stationed anyone beyond the outer gate. Today, it'll kill you and take your sister. I won't even bother participating in the World Outer Gate Conference. What do you think? It'll also kill the people in the Medicine Valley. If Princess Li came to protect you personally, your relationship must be significant. Su Ruye seemed to think of something and licked his lips. Buy me some time, Li Xuanyu said softly as she sat down cross-legged and quickly began to cast magic. A golden flame appeared faintly on her forehead. Li Ya's gaze hardened, and he suddenly squatted down and leaped up. His long sword pointed skyward, and sword qi surged, shaking the surrounding forest. The red mist rolled up, creating a grand scene under the twilight. Su Ruye sneered. He quickly took a large purple flag from his storage bag. The flag had a menacing evil ghost embroidered on it, seemingly ready to leap out. He slammed his left palm down, causing a massive shadowy hand to descend, forcibly suppressing Li Ya's sword qi. Li Ya frowned. His spiritual power was far inferior to Su Rui's and could not compete. Under his watch, the purple flag in Su Rui's hand erupted into a purple whirlwind, causing him to feel dizzy. Not good. Li Ya's face changed dramatically as a strong sense of dizziness overcame him. The most terrifying part was that his body seemed unable to fall. He wants to capture your soul, he's truly bold. The voice of the martial master echoed in Li Ya's mind, filled with shock and anger. Li Ya was even more panicked after hearing this. let me taste the soul of the Taicang imperial lineage. Su Ruye laughed sinisterly, his eyes full of greed. Whoosh, a sharp, piercing sound came from afar, causing Liya, who was stuck in midair, to subconsciously look. Even Li Xuanyu, who was meditating, couldn't help but glance up. A leaf, carrying fierce sword qi, streaked across the sky, aiming straight at Su Ruye. Instinctively, Su Ruye glanced at it, but the leaf was too fast for him to react. Bang! His head exploded instantly, and a blood mist enveloped the forest. The red mist dissipated as a strong wind swept it away, and Liya was thrown to the ground. Li Xuanyu used her spiritual power to resist the wind, but was still forced to get up quickly. Mr. Su! In the roaring wind, Changji screamed. She was about to leap up when another whistling sound approached. She turned her head to see the terrifying wind pushing the red poisonous mist over her. Her robe was pulled back, outlining her perfect curves. In her pupils, there was the reflection of a leaf. Bang! The leaf pierced her head, and blood sprayed everywhere, splattering the forest. The leaf continued its furious trajectory, cutting down trees and raising a cloud of dust before finally embedding itself into a large tree's trunk. Thud! Thud! Su Rui's body fell to the ground, followed by Changji's corpse. Soon, all that remained in the forest was the sound of the wind. Liya propped himself up, sitting on the ground, his black hair disheveled, staring in shock. Not far away, Li Xuanyu was equally terrified, looking dazedly at the corpses of Su Ruye and Changji. To kill an enemy with a flying leaf, such domineering sword qi, this person must be at least at the Nascent Soul Realm, and his sword Dao accomplishment is extremely high. The voice of the martial master echoed in Liya's mind. Liya was jolted awake. He quickly stood up and cupped his fists, shouting, "Which senior intervened to help us?" Li Xuanyu heard him and followed suit, looking around. But, unfortunately, no one responded. "Boy, check over there." The martial master's voice urged Liya to walk in a certain direction. Liya immediately walked over, trembling. His injuries and the soul capturing made him very uncomfortable. Li Xuanyu went to check the corpses of Su Ruye and Changji. She stabbed them twice, using sword qi to shred their hearts. Liya walked for 200 zhang before stopping in front of a tree. His gaze fell on the trunk, and his face changed dramatically. "How is this possible?" Liya muttered in a trembling voice. Following his gaze, a leaf was embedded in the tree trunk, surrounded by a wisp of sword qi. The tree trunk had already cracked, as if it could explode at any moment. This person attacked from 10 miles away. I could only sense the direction, not his presence. The martial master's voice was filled with admiration, followed by a sigh of amazement. It seems the Supreme Sect isn't so weak after all. A great cultivator is watching over the outside. Liya stared at the leaf, trying to calm himself down. At this moment, Li Xuanyu approached from behind. When she saw the leaf clearly, she was equally stunned. As night fell, at Mystic Valley, Valley Master's pavilion was brightly lit and decorated. Guan and his disciples sat around a large round table, exchanging cups and chatting happily. Xiaochuan and Tang Yu were engaged in a drinking contest. Xiaochuan, this martial uncle, was already red-faced, but he refused to admit defeat, continuing to drink despite others' advice. Their wine was not ordinary wine but spiritual wine that Guan had specifically bought from the outer sect. A jar was worth 2 low-grade spirit stones, equivalent to 2 months' salary for a servant disciple. We encountered 2 demon cultivators today. Do you think more demon cultivators will come? Su Han suddenly asked. His words instantly dampened the atmosphere at the dining table. Their smiles disappeared, and they all began to worry. Guan comforted them with a smile, "Don't worry. There are outer disciples patrolling. Didn't you see them today? Perhaps after this incident, the patrols will increase." He was not worried because he was immersed in joy. After killing Su Ruye and Changji, he had successfully obtained 112 years of lifespan. He was summarizing the rules of obtaining lifespan. He could only judge that the years obtained depended on the remaining lifespan of the target, ranging from 10 to 20%, with no fixed amount, making it rather random. Although killing cultivators yielded higher lifespans, Guan was not looking forward to more such incidents. Killing too many enemies would eventually lead to trouble. It was safer to accumulate lifespans through medicinal herbs, as he currently did. There were always people stronger than you. Even if Guan could quickly become stronger by killing enemies, if he encountered an overwhelmingly stronger opponent, he would still die. He couldn't determine the highest cultivation level in the mortal world. But he felt that if he could survive for 1,000 or 10,000 years, he might become invincible in the mortal world. Hearing Guan's words, everyone found them reasonable, and the atmosphere lightened again. Guan didn't dwell on his own matters. He started chatting with his junior brothers and sisters, asking about their future cultivation goals. The atmosphere continued to rise, and eventually, he too started drinking. The first spring festival in Mystic Valley was considered a success. Everyone dispersed late into the night. Guan then went to the 8 scenic caves. Qiong was sitting under the green vine tree, cultivating energy. Demonic chi surrounded her, making her look terrifying. Guan brought a meal to her and said, "Martial Master, today is the spring festival of Mystic Valley. This is a meal that my junior sister made. Would you like to try it? I wish you a speedy recovery of your power." Upon hearing this, Qiong opened her eyes and asked in confusion, "Spring festival? What festival is that?" Guan gave the explanation he had prepared. Whoever asked, he would reply that he heard it from an old man. Setting a festival is indeed a good idea. It can unite people's hearts. Qiong nodded in approval, then looked at the food basket in Guan's hand. Guan immediately set down the basket and took out the dishes one by one, along with a small jar of wine. Seeing this, Qiong's eyes lit up. She mused, "Since it's your kind gesture, I can't not eat it." She picked up a bowl of food and began to eat voraciously. Guan quickly poured her wine and curiously asked, "Martial Master, I have always been puzzled by something." "Speak," Qiong mumbled as she drank the wine in one gulp, her mouth covered in liquid, unsure if it was oil or wine. "Why did the Thousand Autumn Pavilion insert spies outside the outer sect? It seems Mystic Valley can't gather any information." Guan asked. Qiong rolled her eyes at him and said irritably, "Who told you to gather information? Your role is to wait patiently. Once the green vine tree fully matures, this place will become a stronghold for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Other people handle intelligence gathering." Hearing this, Guan became even more uneasy. "What? A stronghold?" Guan frowned and asked, "Is Mystic Valley the only possible stronghold?" "Of course not. Besides Mystic Valley, at least 5 other Medicine Valley masters are spies for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. They just don't know each other's identities. 100 years ago, a spy from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion even became a true disciple. By now, they are probably at elder level." Qiong answered casually. Guan fell silent. Had the Supreme Sect become so riddled with spies? Qiong put down the empty plate, picked up a large chicken leg, and smiled. "The taste is not bad. Although I have long since started fasting, indulging occasionally is nice. As a reward, I'll teach you the secret technique of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion later." Chapter 29 Demon Shadow Divine Skill, Qiong's Appreciation. "What secret technique?" Guan asked expectantly. He had already learned many spells from Qiong, but as the saying goes, the more the better. When Qiong left, it would be difficult to find such a dedicated martial master again. Qiong took a bite of a chicken leg and said proudly, "One of the 9 great secret techniques of our Thousand Autumn Pavilion, the Demon Shadow Divine Skill." Demon Shadow Divine Skill? It sounded. Guan frowned and asked, "Is this a cultivation technique?" He didn't lack cultivation techniques. Changing techniques would mean rebuilding his spiritual power, and he didn't want to waste his lifespan. "I already said, it's a secret technique. The Demon Shadow Divine Skill will help you be a better spy. You'll understand soon enough," Qiong said indistinctly, her mouth full of chicken, almost too full to speak. Gu An's face twitched. I don't want to be a spy for the demon path. Forget it, I'll endure Qiong for now. Later, I'll speak what suits the occasion, whatever identity I need, I'll give myself. The next day at noon, Guan was reading under a tree. 7 steps away, Yilan and Zhenqin were practicing swordsmanship, their movements graceful. Unfortunately, they couldn't capture Gu An's attention. Senior brother, Brother Liye is here. Xiaochuan ran over and said, followed by a man, Liye. Guan immediately stood up and stuffed the green hero travelogue into his robe, then walked toward Liye. Let's talk inside, Liye said first. Guan nodded and led him upstairs. Zhenqin stopped swinging her sword and looked at Yilan, asking nervously, Martial Uncle Yi, could Martial Uncle Liye be here because of those 2 demon cultivators from yesterday? Perhaps. Yilan glanced back and replied softly. Inside the house. Guan and Liye sat facing each other. As he poured tea for Liye, Guan asked, what's the matter? Liye said, I plan to stay in Mystic Valley for half a year, is that okay? Of course, you can stay as long as you like. Did something happen? Guan readily agreed, taking the opportunity to inquire with concern. Liye hesitated for a moment, then decided to recount his encounter yesterday. Perhaps knowing these matters could motivate junior brother Gu to cultivate diligently under pressure. After hearing the story, Gu An's eyes widened in astonishment. Those 2 are dead? Won't the Wanyin sect cause trouble? Liye snorted, he attacked Li Xuanyu and me. If anyone is to blame, it's the Supreme Sect who will deal with the Wanyin sect. Besides the Supreme Sect, the court will also pressure the Wanyin sect. Li Xuanyu is my father's most beloved daughter. Guan asked in surprise, they still dared to attack Senior Li? Su Ruye and Changji are notorious villains who stop at nothing. Changji had a grudge against Li Xuanyu from their time in Yecheng. When they finally saw Li Xuanyu alone, they wouldn't miss the chance. And also, Liye sneered at the end but held back. And what? Nothing. Guan felt like hitting someone. If you're not going to say it, don't even mention, and also. Liye looked at Guan and asked, did you see anyone else pass by Medicine Valley yesterday and today? Guan shook his head. You didn't see them. If it weren't for that Nascent Soul Realm senior's intervention, Li Xuanyu and I would have been in grave danger. That senior's sword Dao was truly terrifying, killing enemies with a leaf. Even a Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator at the 9th layer would be like vegetables facing him, a leaf could kill them. Liye grew excited as he recounted the battle, depicting the scene with fervor. Gu An's eyes widened, gasping occasionally as if he were listening to a mythical tale. That Nascent Soul Realm senior only tossed out 2 leaves, yet Liye used all the words he knew to describe it, extremely animated. A true sword cultivator should be like this, winning without a sword. Anything in hand can be a sword. Even I. In short, senior brother, I've found my direction. From now on, I'll focus on practicing the sword and delving into sword Dao. Liye showed a look of longing. Guan nodded, secretly delighted. Brother, that exaggerated senior is right in front of you, too bad your Dao level is too shallow to see through it. Guan interrupted Li Ya's reverie and asked, the World Outer Sect tournament is so grand, why doesn't the sect send disciples to patrol or protect us servant disciples? In the vicinity of Mystic Valley, within a radius of 50 miles, there were at least 6 caves of outer disciples. Although most people weren't in their caves, if the sect ordered, certainly someone would come. Li Ya's smile faded, he said quietly, think about it, why would someone dare keep a demon of greed outside the outer sect? Isn't it because the sect doesn't care about servant disciples? But don't worry, they'll stay until the World Outer Sect tournament ends. Guan was silent for a moment, then asked, aren't you participating? My cultivation level isn't enough. If I participated rashly, I would only get hurt. Such an event is certainly dominated by Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators at the 9th layer. Liye shook his head. Guan raised his opinion of him, he was quite self-aware. Of course, it could also be that Su Ruye had hit him too hard. They chatted for a while before going downstairs. Guan had Xiaochuan and Tang Yu help clear out a courtyard for Liya to live in alone. Knowing Liya would stay for half a year, everyone in the valley was happy. Firstly, they had someone to protect them, and secondly, they could practice swordsmanship with Liya. In their eyes, Guan was good at everything, except that he knew few spells and couldn't guide them. Liya was different, he was a genuine Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator. In the following days, many cultivators often flew over Mystic Valley with their swords. Guan also saw various flying artifacts and demon beast mounts, which made him reflect. This is the immortal cultivation world. A month later, in the deep night, Qiong leaned against a green vine tree, swinging her right leg. Her white, tender calf was exposed under her robe, practically glowing. She was holding a book and glanced at Guan in the distance, who was picking medicinal herbs. She suddenly flipped up, the book flying into the pendant around her neck. She stretched lazily, extending her body. Dear disciple, stop for now and practice the demon's shadow divine skill. Qiong called. She leaped and landed in front of the pill furnace, which was brewing elixirs. Wisps of white smoke rose from the lid. Guan didn't turn his head and said, "It's no problem, it'll finish quickly." Qiong shook her head, laughing silently, thinking, this kid is really diligent. It's commendable. I should make him some elixirs. Half an hour later, Guan brought the picked medicinal herbs to Qiong. He sorted the herbs by category on the ground, meticulously, earning Qiong's satisfaction. This child is really impeccable. Guan's harvest of over 1,300 years of lifespan put him in a good mood. Such opportunities were hard to come by. Continue practicing. Ask me if you don't understand anything. Qiong stared at the pill furnace and said softly. Guan nodded and started practicing the demon's shadow divine skill. He had been practicing this skill for a month, but it had not appeared on his attribute panel, which annoyed him greatly. He was determined to master it now. The 8 scenic caves fell into silence as Guan and Qiong sat near the pill furnace, the pill smoke shrouding their figures. For more days passed, and the demon's shadow divine skill finally appeared on Guan's attribute panel. Looking at his attribute panel, he smiled with satisfaction. Name, Guan, lifespan, 27/12268, spirit root, first class 5 elements spirit root, wood and earth attributes are more prominent, cultivation level, Nascent Soul Realm 8th layer, cultivation techniques, fire control art, unmastered, divine wood pure yang skill, mastery, dragon strength divine primordial skill, mastery, alchemy, initial insight, myriad poison mystic skill, unmastered, yin yang art, unmastered, ultimate skills, gale shadowless leg, proficient, Taicang divine. Shocking sword, proficient, 8 direction step, unmastered, demon's shadow divine skill, unmastered, spells, soul capturing skill, unmastered, sword control technique, proficient, enchanting eyes, unmastered, poison wood array, initial insight, wind control skill, unmastered, corpse control skill, unmastered. As long as it appeared on the attribute panel, it meant it was genuine. In over 5 years, Qiong had taught him 8 types of cultivation techniques and spells. Very dedicated. This changed Guan's view of her. Although she was a demon cultivator, her teaching attitude surpassed that of the righteous path. Guan stood up, bowed to Qiong, and said, "Martial master, let's stop for tonight. I want to rest." Qiong remained in a meditative position in front of the pill furnace, surrounded by demonic qi. She didn't open her eyes and said, "Go back and cultivate well. I will leave in at most 2 years." Guan didn't reply, turning to leave. Qiong opened one eye, glanced at his back, and thought, this kid seems a bit sad. Understandable, where else will he find such a good martial master? Seeing him so lonely, I'll find someone to guide him in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion and have my father find someone to teach him sword Dao. Guan turned his back to her, quickly walking towards the cave entrance. He suppressed the joy in his heart, preventing himself from laughing out loud. Finally, she's leaving. Although Qiong treated him well, he preferred to enjoy the 8 scenic caves alone. Returning to the woods, Guan didn't return to the building immediately. He headed to a distant place, preparing to find a spot to invest a year of his lifespan into his cultivation level. He felt he was close to the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, maybe within a few days. Even though he felt close, he restrained himself, investing only 1 year of lifespan each day. Traveling 20 miles away, Guan sat under a tree, suppressing his aura to the lowest level, almost like the surrounding flowers and plants. He immediately invested a year of his lifespan into his cultivation, and spiritual energy surged towards him. The surrounding flowers and plants swayed as if cheering him on, wishing him an early breakthrough. Soon, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth calmed, indicating he had completed a year of energy absorption cultivation. Guan stood up, ready to leave. Just as he was about to step forward, he sensed something and immediately hid behind the tree. After about 4 breaths, 2 sounds of rushing wind approached, passing above him. Guan's eyesight was sharper than most. He caught a glimpse of the 2 figures and quickly cast lifespan detection on them. Ziwei, Core Formation Realm 9th Layer 142/490/980, Ziwei, Foundation Establishment Realm 2nd Layer 27/280/1400, Core Formation Realm 9th Layer. Guan was silently curious about which sect these 2 belonged to. After they left, Guan quietly returned to Mystic Valley. The next morning, he, as usual, led the disciples in exercises while Liye greeted him, saying he was going to the outer sect. It was not until noon that Liye returned by sword, bringing someone with him. It was Ziwei, whom Guan had detected last night. Chapter 30 Nascent Soul Realm 9 Layers, with Spirit Sword Technique. Junior brother Gu, let me introduce to you, this is my childhood friend, Ziwei. He wants to discuss swordsmanship with me, so I let him stay in my courtyard, Liye said as he came to Guan. Ziwei, dressed in yellow, had a handsome face with an undeniable arrogance between his brows. He wore a sword at his waist, and just by looking at its grade, one could tell it wasn't low. Liye introduced Guan to Ziwei, but Ziwei only nodded at Guan and didn't say a word. Guan, used to such behavior, smiled and said, "Senior brother Li, then take him to settle down." Liye nodded, his eyes revealing an apologetic look. Ziwei pulled Liye forward excitedly. "Today, Ji Lin from the Ji family was truly amazing. Did you see his swordsmanship? It was exquisite. I feel he has a chance to become the final victor." Ji Lin? Guan's mind conjured up a handsome and proud face. Ji Lin, like him, had joined the Supreme Sect under Ji Xiaoyu. They didn't interact much, but earlier, Di had helped Ji Lin gather medicinal herbs. Unexpectedly, Ji Lin was already making a name for himself in the Outer Sect tournament, even though he wasn't much older than Guan. Of course, it might have to do with the resources he received. Given the Supreme Sect's treatment coupled with the Ji family's resources, it's understandable that his cultivation level advanced rapidly. Guan walked towards the tree, all the while eavesdropping on Liye and Ziwei's conversation. The Outer Sect tournament had already begun, with talented disciples from both righteous and demonic paths gathering to compete against each other. According to Liye and Ziwei, the tournament was a one-on-one format, and those undefeated disciples were starting to make a name for themselves. Guan didn't hear Ji Xiaoyu's name, and after a moment's thought, he realized Ji Xiaoyu didn't belong to the Outer Sect. Xiaochuan, Wuxin, and others were curious about Ziwei, gathering in small groups and discussing him. Ziwei's arrival didn't disturb the life in Mystic Valley. He looked down on the servant disciples, practicing swordsmanship with Liye in the daytime and going back to his room to cultivate afterwards. Because of their arrival, Guan reduced his visits to the 8 scenic caves, but he still stuck to his daily plans. A month passed swiftly. Guan finally reached the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. That night, he felt lighter on his way back. When he returned to Mystic Valley, he saw someone practicing swordsmanship in Liye's courtyard. He went to his loft, and after entering the room, he stood by the window to watch. It was Ziwei practicing swordsmanship. When Ziwei first arrived, Guan thought he was a swordsmanship genius. But after a month of observing his daily practice, Guan realized Zhuolin's talent in swordsmanship was extremely mediocre. Guan, now having some sword Dao accomplishment himself, judged that Zhuolin's talent in swordsmanship was not even as good as Su Han's. Su Han was the most talented in swordsmanship in the valley, but even he wouldn't stand out much outside the valley. Watching for a while, Guan then closed the window. When daylight came, Guan went downstairs to find Zhuolin still standing in the courtyard, looking at the sword in his hand with a furrowed brow. Guan greeted his junior brothers, junior sisters, and the disciples to practice their morning exercises, which caught Zhuolin's attention. Actually, you don't need to force swordsmanship. Your spirit root qualification is exceptional. When your cultivation realm is higher, practicing swordsmanship might yield twice the result with half the effort, Liye said softly, approaching Zhuolin. Zhuolin's face darkened. No, I must become a sword cultivator. My father is the maniac swordsman of Tsanghu Lake. Liye intended to persuade him, but on second thought, he was the same, wanting to prove himself to his father. Zhuolin stared intently at Guan and the others practicing their exercises. For some reason, he felt Guan's movements held a unique subtlety. Though the movements were identical to others, Guan's carried a mysterious charm. Initially, he thought it was an illusion, but the more he looked, the more certain he was that he hadn't been mistaken. Liye didn't continue to disturb Zhuolin as he turned towards the woods. He needed a lot of time to cultivate. He couldn't stop thinking about his loss to Su Ruye, although he rarely mentioned it. He didn't want to lose again. After Guan finished a set of exercises, he let the valley disciples busy themselves. Nowadays, the valley's affairs no longer required his personal arrangement as Wu Xin was gradually taking over the authority of the senior brother. Xiaochuan, who had a more reserved character, didn't like to command or arrange, so he let Wu Xin take over. Not to mention Yilan, who had already focused fully on the outer sect assessment. With average qualifications like hers, to become an outer disciple, there was only one way: reach the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm and then participate in the outer sect assessment. After passing, they could wait for the outer sect to distribute the foundation establishment pill. If they directly broke through to the foundation establishment realm, then the assessment wouldn't be necessary. Guan was hesitating on whether to improve his alchemy skills to help his junior sister and junior brother refine foundation establishment pills. The medicinal herbs needed for the foundation establishment pill could all be found in the valley. The difficulty lay in the alchemy process. Yilan was still some way off from the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm, giving Guan enough time to consider this matter. As for Xiaochuan, he was even further off. Most people's qualifications wouldn't allow them to reach the 8th layer of the energy cultivation realm even with a lifetime of bitter cultivation. Guan walked towards the loft, pulling out the Green Hero travelogue from his chest, an expectant look on his face. He had been saving the last 5 chapters, waiting for a sunny day to savor them. Heavy rain poured down, as the Green Hero and his Ms. Een met in a ruined temple, their love-hate relationship about to erupt completely. Just thinking about it made Guan excited. Brother Guan. Zhuolin's voice came, and Guan turned to see him approaching quickly. Standing before Guan, Zhuolin appeared somewhat embarrassed. Guan, not holding a grudge for his earlier arrogance, asked with a smile, Brother Zhua, is there something you need? Gritting his teeth, he said, I observed that your set of movements is very exquisite. Could you teach me? No problem, let's go under the tree, Guan responded. It's our duty as children of Huaxia to promote broadcast exercises. Zhuolin was taken aback, not expecting him to agree so readily, feeling ashamed as he hurriedly followed Guan. The two came to the courtyard in front of the loft, and Guan, without wasting words, began to teach him the exercises. Zhuolin, quick at learning, mastered it after one demonstration from Guan. Is this all? Zhuolin asked, frowning. Guan, puzzled, asked, not enough? These are all the movements. What about the mental method? There's no mental method. Impossible, without a mental method, how can you? Zhuolin frowned. His words confused Guan even more, making him ask, how can I what? Zhuolin, agitated, said, it's just that you give me a different feeling. The same movements, but they're different from others. You must have a mental method, Guan, feeling helpless, thought, is this kid enlightened by the sword or gone mad? Seeing Guan's expression, Zuolin felt even more embarrassed. Rationally, he knew a servant disciple couldn't be hiding an ultimate mental method. But his previous feeling wasn't wrong. Since childhood, he had the keenest perception of a person's qualifications and aura. His master even praised him for having an exquisite spirit heart, good at recognizing people. This servant disciple in front of him must be extraordinary. Zuolin's eyes turned, let's do this, I'll teach you swordsmanship, and you try it? Guan initially wanted to refuse, but seeing how hard it was to shake him off, he could only nod. No harm learning. Seeing Guan lacked a sword, Zuolin took a long sword out of his storage bag and handed it to him, then drew his treasure sword at his waist and began demonstrating his swordsmanship. This guy really didn't know how to be considerate. Why swing the sword so fast? Guan complained in his heart but watched very seriously. In the distance, Tang Yu and Su Han, seeing this, didn't dare to approach but watched from afar. If master learns it, won't he be able to teach us? Su Han said with anticipation, his love for swords evident. Among all the paths of immortal cultivation, only sword cultivation captivated him the most. Tang Yu nodded, if master learns it, and we ask him, he definitely won't refuse. In their hearts, Guan was the best master. The key issue was whether master could learn Zuolin's swordsmanship. The answer was affirmative. Guan had invested 2,000 years of lifespan into Li family's 7 swords, and his sword Dao accomplishment was already high. The swordsmanship demonstrated by Zuolin, though good, wasn't as advanced as the upgraded 7-sword art of the Li family, let alone comparable to the 9 devastating swords. Of course, Zuolin couldn't have taught his strongest swordsmanship right at the start. After finishing his demonstration, Zuolin turned to Guan and asked, how much did you memorize? Guan shook his head, about 20%. I'm not sure. Your swordsmanship was so fluent, it dazzled me. I already forgot the earlier moves. Zuolin frowned, immediately asking Guan to give it a try. So, Guan began to perform Zuolin's swordsmanship, his movements hesitant, and his swordplay stiff, making Zuolin's frown deepen. From afar, Tang Yu and Su Han felt hopeless, thinking their master couldn't learn it. After fumbling through the moves, Zuolin, unwilling to give up, demonstrated again, this time slower. But even then, Guan couldn't memorize all of it. After half an hour of struggle, Guan found an excuse to slip away. An angry Zuolin found Liya, complaining that Guan was mocking him. Upon hearing the reason, Liya couldn't help but laugh. He truly lacks swordsmanship talent and hates practicing swordsmanship. Really? Zuolin's anger subsided considerably, yet he still thought of Guan's previous movements. He felt Guan was hiding something. He's my junior brother. Don't I know him? Liya gave him a glance, warning, stop pestering him. It's already good enough for you to stay here. If you keep bothering him, go back to the outer sect and find your father. Zuolin fell into contemplation, gazing at the loft where Guan lived, lost in thought. Meanwhile, inside the loft, Guan sat cross-legged on the bed, eyes closed, recalling the swordsmanship taught by Zuolin. He slowly opened his eyes, which flashed with sword light. He brought up his attribute panel, and in the ultimate skills section appeared, Wood Spirit Sword Technique. Wood Spirit? Could it be a wood attribute swordsmanship? Guan's divine wood pure yang skill was wood attribute. If he cultivated wood attribute spells, he could achieve twice the result with half the effort. He quickly learned the poison wood array taught by Qiong. However, for now, he didn't want to enhance this swordsmanship. He needed to save up to 100,000 years of lifespan. The lifespan detection function activated at 1,000 years, the lifespan barrier function at 10,000 years, so 100,000 years should unlock a new function, which he always looked forward to. Chapter 31 True Dragon Blood Lineage. Since Zuolin taught Guan swordsmanship, every time they met, Zuolin would stare at him with a resentful gaze, making him very uncomfortable. Fortunately, with Liya around, Zuolin dared not pester him. Days passed by, and every day, there were cultivators flying over Mystic Valley. Each time someone passed by, Guan would use lifespan detection to check their cultivation level. He even detected the presence of nascent soul cultivators, although he couldn't tell which sect they belonged to. Spring went and summer came, and Guan turned 28. Since reaching the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, he had paused his daily routine, fearing he might waste his lifespan. He planned to use a vast amount of lifespan for a forced breakthrough later on. Besides hard work, he also believed in mysticism. Summer's scorching heat arrived. In the mountains, Guan lay under a tree reading a book, while Wuxin directed Tang Yu, Su Han, and Zhen Qin in weeding. Xiaochuan and Yilan were cultivating in the valley. Tang Yu wiped the sweat off his forehead, glancing at the green hero travelogue in Gu An's hands, eyes full of curiosity. What kind of book was that? The biggest secret in the valley was what exactly was recorded in the green hero travelogue. The 3 disciples also wanted to read it, but unfortunately, the entire set of the green hero travelogue was privately kept by Guan. They couldn't find it in the book collection pavilion. A large white rat suddenly darted out from the grass and ran straight into Gu An's arms. It was the white spirit rat. Guan noticed it had something in its mouth and immediately sat up. He saw it spit out an egg the size of a chicken egg. The eggshell was bluish-white with wave-like brown patterns on the surface. He could feel the spiritual power fluctuations inside. Is this a demon beast egg? Guan had encountered demon beast eggs in the outer city before. Prices varied greatly, the highest being astronomical, making his scalp go numb just looking at them. Seizing the moment when Wuxin and the others weren't paying attention, he quickly stashed the demon beast egg into his storage bag. The white spirit rat lifted its head proudly, making Guan laugh as he hugged it and stroked it vigorously. After finishing the weeding, Wuxin and the others began planting. When everything was done, they all returned to Mystic Valley. Tang Yu walked beside Guan, asking him about some difficulties related to the residual wind leg. He didn't like swords, so he was the only one among the 3 disciples who diligently practiced the residual wind leg. Guan patiently guided him, while tightly holding the white spirit rat in his hands to prevent it from escaping. Upon returning to Mystic Valley, Leah, who had gone to the outer sect in the morning, had already returned. However, Zuolin hadn't come back, which was good news for Guan. Leah approached Guan and said, "The outer sect gathering in the realm has ended. Next is the time for intersect exchanges. During this period, there will be disciples patrolling nearby, so I must also return." Upon hearing this, Guan immediately showed reluctance and said, "Then I won't try to keep you. You have a heart for the immortal path, I can't be the one to hold you back. If you ever miss this place, come back anytime. As long as I'm alive, I'll always be here waiting for you." Leah nodded and then pulled Guan into the attic. After closing the door, he took out 3 white jade bottles from his storage bag and placed them on the table, saying, "These 3 bottles of elixirs are respectively the Foundation Establishment Pill, the top-grade Spirit Elixir, and the Soul Cleansing Pill. Keep them safe and don't expose them lightly, especially the Foundation Establishment Pill. You must keep one for yourself. Don't trust your disciples too easily, there are many who would kill their masters for elixirs. People's hearts can change." Guan was stunned and quickly waved his hand, saying, "No, I can't do this. Even if I were to be the Valley Master for 100 years, I wouldn't be able to repay the Spirit Stones." "Repay what?" "You are my junior brother, and I will come back to bother you in the future. If you don't accept, I won't come back." Leah glared, speaking sternly. Hearing this, Guan could only reluctantly accept. He felt deeply moved in his heart. More than the valuable elixirs, he cared about Leah's sentiments toward him. Leah continued, "Last night, a demon cultivator battle took place 100 miles away, resulting in several deaths and injuries. They were all geniuses from various sections. Their deaths will surely attract investigations. It's best if you don't leave the valley for the next few days." Guan nodded and was about to say something when Leah turned and left. He didn't leave through the front door but leapt out of the window, using sword control to soar, passing the mountain peaks, and disappeared without a trace. Guan turned back to look at the 3 bottles of elixirs on the table, remaining silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed and waved his sleeve, putting the 3 bottles of elixirs into the storage bag. Late at night, Guan came to the 8 scenic caves and walked to the green vine tree. Qiong was still meditating in front of the pill furnace, her aura growing stronger, close to reaching the 9th layer of the core formation realm. Guan felt happy for her. Finally about to leave. Dear disciple grandson, you haven't visited me in a long time. I thought you almost forgot about me, Qiong's voice sounded. Guan approached to salute and helplessly said, Martial Master, can you drop the dear? Your disciple grandson really can't bear it. A demon cultivator was still a demon cultivator, speaking without any propriety. Qiong smiled without responding. Guan took out the demon beast egg from his storage bag, brought it before Qiong, and asked, Martial Master, what kind of demon beast is this? Upon hearing this, Qiong opened her eyes, casually glanced at the demon beast egg in his hand. Initially indifferent, she suddenly realized something and widened her beautiful eyes. She turned around and snatched the egg from Guan's hand. She examined it carefully, her gaze seemed to penetrate the eggshell. Seeing this, Guan grew nervous internally. As expected, this thing was not simple. When Liye mentioned a demon cultivator battle last night, he suspected that the white spirit rat picked up this egg from the battleground. He had lived in this area for so many years and had never seen a demon beast egg, not even a demon beast. It's truly the holy beast of the ancient sky sect, Qiong muttered to herself. Holy beast? Guan's eyelids twitched, he suddenly wanted to strangle the white spirit rat for causing trouble. Qiong handed the demon beast egg back to Guan, saying, This is the sky dragon, a demon beast rarely possessing the true dragon bloodline in the mortal world. It can grow to a 9th-rank demon beast with immense potential and devastating power, revered as the holy beast by the ancient sky sect. Raise it well. The sky dragon serves only one master in its lifetime, gentle to its master but extremely ferocious to others. Once the sky dragon's master perishes, it will go berserk and slaughter all beings. Upon hearing this, Guan quickly said, With such power, it is better suited for you, martial master. You could use an assistant in the immortal cultivation world. Are you serious? Qiong asked with a half-smile. Guan nodded sincerely. Seeing this, Qiong's face softened, feeling moved. Thinking back, since they met, this boy had always been respectful. He never slacked off in her orders. His current words might not be feigned sincerity. Qiong had faked her death for 70 years due to betrayal, which led to her current situation. Over the years, she had harbored hatred for many. When she first met Guan, she was full of caution, so after recovering her body, she tested him. Qiong forcibly put the sky dragon egg back into Guan's hands. As their hands touched, he felt a hint of chilliness. Don't refuse. The green vine tree needs strong protection. Keeping the sky dragon here ensures it won't be exposed, Qiong said seriously. Hearing this, Guan found it reasonable. This way, it could also prevent anyone from stealing herbs or flowers. Guan sighed, all right. Qiong began to tell stories about the sky dragon and its habits, helping him gain more knowledge. The more Guan listened, the more excited he became, looking forward to the sky dragon. Finally, he left the sky dragon egg under the green vine tree for Qiong to nurture. In the following month, the number of cultivators passing over Mystic Valley gradually decreased. Finally, there were 3 consecutive days without any passing cultivators, prompting Guan to leave the valley. He had side jobs to do, which were also significant sources of lifespan income that he couldn't miss. Compared to fighting and killing, Guan preferred earning lifespan steadily and safely. At midday, he first went to Chenli's cave. Chenli wasn't in, so he took 30 minutes to tend to the medicinal herbs before leaving. The next stop was Li Zuanya's cave. Li Xuanya wasn't there either, so Guan got to work. As expected of a princess, Li Xuanya had recently planted another batch of 5th-rank medicinal herbs, which made Guan look forward to it. 5th-rank medicinal herbs took at least 5 years, sometimes more than 10 years, to mature. Fortunately, Guan could afford to wait. However, just as he was about to finish, Li Xuanyu returned. "Greetings, Senior Li," Guan quickly approached, cupping his fists in salute. Li Xuanyu, dressed in white, still looked so cold and holy. However, Guan could sense her unstable aura. "Injured again?" She really loved to fight. Li Xuanyu said softly, "Since you are Li Ya's junior brother, there's no need for you to call me senior. You may call me senior sister." Hearing this, Guan could only comply and greeted, "Senior sister." Li Xuanyu glanced around the cave and said, "You've done well. Do you need me to recommend this job for you? If I speak for you, those employers would give me some face and won't treat you unfairly." "Yes, thank you, Senior Sister Li," Guan answered quickly. He was waiting to save up 10,000 years of lifespan to break through the level above the Nascent Soul Realm, so he wouldn't refuse help. Li Xuanyu nodded and said, "Come back in a month." Guan saluted and then left. After he left, Li Xuanyu went to the bed and began healing her wounds, her face quickly turning pale, completely bloodless, then spitting out a mouthful of black blood on the ground. Outside the cave, Guan felt her aura suddenly become chaotic, probably due to her injuries flaring up, but he didn't stop. He didn't know how to heal wounds, and he didn't want to get too involved with Li Xuanyu. After the outer sect gathering concluded, time in Mystic Valley passed as quickly as it had before. When Guan saw Li Xuanyu again, her injuries had mostly healed. Under her guidance, he met 5 outer disciples, bringing the total to 7 outer disciples' caves he helped manage. Because each cave situation was different, he had to leave the valley every 3 to 4 days. For convenience, he raised his apparent cultivation level to the 6th layer of the energy cultivation realm. Every time he went out, he used the sword control technique, as the spiritual energy of the 5th layer wasn't enough for him to travel back and forth in a day. He avoided using the heavenly residence sword, instead, footing on a common flying sword, an ordinary magic artifact obtained from the outer sect, for the sake of appearances. Summer turned to autumn, with falling leaves blanketing Mystic Valley. After autumn, winter snow covered Mystic Valley in white. One day, Guan was in the attic, writing with a brush. Having read the Green Hero travelogue many times, he wanted to write one himself. It so happened that during his last visit to the outer sect, he discovered that writing books could earn spirit stones, though the review process was stringent. With his background as a reincarnated person from Earth, he decided to astonish the Supreme Sect a little. By earning more spirit stones, he could buy more seeds. While engrossed in his writing, he suddenly sensed something and frowned. The sky outside the window darkened, and rolling thunder clouds surged from the horizon, enveloping the heavens and the forest with a terrifying celestial might. Chapter 32, Duel on a Snowy Night, Nascent Soul vs. Nascent Soul. Is this crossing thunder tribulation? Guan looked at the thunderclouds outside the window, his brows gradually relaxed, and a look of curiosity appeared on his face. He was not worried, as he felt the celestial might was far from Mystic Valley. Those sweeping the snow in the garden, Tang Yu, Su Han, and Zhen Qin, turned to look, and Yilan, who was meditating in the forest, also opened her eyes. Xiaochuan walked out of his house and looked at the rolling thunderclouds in the sky. Wu Xin was meditating on the mountaintop, the flying snow couldn't cover his figure. He gazed at the horizon, his brows furrowed. Such powerful sword intent, Wu Xin murmured to himself. Although his cultivation was low, he came from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion and had a lot of knowledge. The entire sky was quickly covered by thunderclouds, resembling a boundless ocean, with towering waves. The snowy forest fell into darkness, and the wind between heaven and earth grew stronger, causing the forest to sway and shedding pieces of snow. Guan was disturbed by this celestial might that he had no heart to write. He got up and went downstairs, calling the disciples to look after each garden area. An ancient hour later, several cultivators flew over Mystic Valley, heading in the direction of the celestial might, disappearing into the vast flying snow. This scene made the disciples in the valley even more nervous, unsure of what exactly had happened. It was not until near dusk that a thunderous roar echoed between heaven and earth. Guan stood on the mountaintop and saw in the distance, at the horizon, lightning and thunder intertwining at a certain point on the ground, forming a huge fan shape, extremely spectacular. The radiance of thunder shone on his face, and his black robe fluttered in the wind. Thunder tribulation is so terrifying, no wonder I failed so many times during simulated cultivation. Guan sighed inwardly, finally dispersing the grievances he had suppressed for many years. Although the lifespan consumed by simulated cultivation was more than reality, it was safe. Looking back at his achievements, at 28 years old, he reached Nascent Soul Realm 9th layer. Could the Supreme Sect find a second person like him? Afterward, he turned around and went down the mountain, preparing to continue writing. That night, the roars of thunder continued, making it impossible for everyone in Medicine Valley to cultivate peacefully. By noon the next day, the thunder still continued. The wind between heaven and earth grew stronger, as if a blizzard was about to arrive. Guan occasionally led the disciples outside to look after the medicinal herbs. After 3 days and 3 nights, the thunder stopped. As the thunderclouds dispersed in the sky, sunlight finally poured down, bringing relief to the disciples of Mystic Valley. However, they had not been happy for half a day before a sharp pressure enveloped heaven and earth, making them feel a heaviness in their chest and their hearts pounding in alarm. In the loft, Guan put down his brush, his gaze turned to the window, his brows furrowed. He sensed a strong sword intent coming from the horizon, unable to judge how far away it was for the time being. What is he doing? Guan felt puzzled. Just finished crossing thunder tribulation and started comprehending swordsmanship. So desperate? Guan could only pray that the other party would not affect his Medicine Valley. Although the other's sword intent was strong, he secretly compared it and felt it was inferior to his Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. After all, the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword was something he created by sacrificing 2,000 years of lifespan. How many people in the mortal world could live for 2,000 years? Late at night, 8 scenic caves. Guan came to visit Qiong. He arrived under the green vine tree and raised his hand to pay respects to Qiong. For the next while, don't come in again to avoid being discovered by Ziwei. Qiong said without opening her eyes. Ziwei? Guan remembered this person, who was Zuolin's father. When the father and son flew over Mystic Valley, he had even thrown a lifespan detection at them. Ziwei's previous cultivation level was at Core Formation Realm 9th layer. After Tribulation Crossing, he would be a Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. Guan thought quickly in his mind, then nervously asked, who is Ziwei? He is the one who crossed Thunder Tribulation these days. According to your master, he has already earned the title of Maniac Swordsman of Canghu Lake. Qiong replied. Maniac Swordsman of Canghu Lake? Guan curiously asked, Martial Master, do you know him? Yes, we are old acquaintances. Back then, he overestimated himself and attempted to pursue me as a Daoist friend. I severely humiliated him, making him a laughingstock in the inner sect. Since then, he devoted himself to sword practice and never went out, until I got injured and faked my death. I never saw him again. Qiong said this, then she opened her eyes and looked at Guan with a teasing smile. Dear disciple grandson, don't let emotions get the best of you in the future, it's easy to suffer. Guan replied, thank you for the lesson, Martial Master. I will remember it well. Later, Qiong let Guan sit down and began instructing him on the poison skill of the Myriad Poison Mystic skill. The Myriad Poison Mystic skill had both energy absorption cultivation techniques and numerous poison skills, requiring a lot of time to study. After staying in 8 scenic caves for 2 ancient hours, Guan left. 3 days later, at dawn, Guan was leading the disciples in practicing exercises. They stood on the snowy ground, the cold wind was biting, yet they were still dressed lightly. Whoosh! A breaking sound came, startling everyone to turn and look, only to see the eastern mountain peak struck by a sword chi. 2 large trees on the mountainside were cut down, cascading down the slope and finally blocked by a row of trees, sending dust and snow flying like white mist. Looking upward, the cliff face had a 2-zhang-long crack, as if someone had carved it with a giant sword, very spectacular. Su Han frowned and said, this isn't the first time. If this continues, it will endanger us sooner or later. Other disciples were also worried, their exercise movements slowed down because of it. Wuxin sighed and said, sword cultivators comprehend swordsmanship. It can take anywhere from a few days to decades. Who knows how long that person will comprehend? Guan rarely did not smile, his face darkened. He was worried about the medicinal herbs in Mystic Valley. Yesterday, he went to the Outer Sect to report this matter to the Elixir Hall, but they told him he could choose to temporarily move to Outer City, exempt from this year's harvest, but the Elixir Hall would not cover any losses in Mystic Valley. The medicinal herbs in Mystic Valley were precious to Guan. How could he give them up? If Mystic Valley collapsed, 8 scenic caves might be exposed as well. No. He must come up with a solution. Guan's eyes flickered. For the sake of life, he could endure humiliation, but for his medicinal herbs, he would fight. Alright, continue practicing exercises, then each go cultivate. If that person is still here in 2 days, well, move to the Outer Sect to avoid. Guan said. Upon hearing this, all the disciples were energized. They were also worried that Mystic Valley would collapse, so they had been wanting to go out to avoid it. The winter days passed quickly. Night gradually fell. On a mountain top, Ziwei in a gray robe was meditating. In front of him stood 5 swords, each with a different shape, even the blade's width varied. Under the night, with snow flying, the snow falling on him melted quickly, turning into wisps of white vapor, making his aura appear more powerful. On a mountain peak 100 zhang away, Ziwei was meditating on the cliff edge, surrounded by 3 large flags. The flags fluttered, and when sword chi struck, an invisible barrier dissipated it, leaving him unhurt. Although uninjured, the booming sound of sword chi hitting the formation woke Ziwei. He looked up at his father, frowning, envy showed in his eyes. People say dragons have dragon offspring, phoenixes have phoenix offspring. Why didn't he inherit his father's sword Dao comprehension? Feeling his father's powerful sword intent, Ziwei was fascinated. Even though his spirit root qualification was outstanding and his energy absorption speed far exceeded his peers, he only wanted to become a powerful sword cultivator like his father. If not for studying swordsmanship, his cultivation realm would be far beyond Foundation Establishment Realm's second layer. Sigh. Ziwei sighed and prepared to continue his sword enlightenment. He didn't believe he couldn't make a name for himself in the sword Dao. Just as he was about to close his eyes, he suddenly saw his father stand up, making him freeze. Is it over? Ziwei stood on the mountaintop, facing Ziwei's direction, but his gaze was higher, staring at a higher mountain in the distance. The night was deep, no one could be seen, yet he sensed a sword intent locking onto him. The 5 treasure swords in front of him began to tremble, as if facing a formidable enemy. Ziwei also stood up and asked loudly, Father, what's wrong? Did you succeed? Ziwei did not answer, but asked, I wonder which Daoist friend has arrived, why not show yourself? 10 li away. Guan, in white clothing, stood on the mountaintop, a wooden mask on his face, spiritual power covering his face under the mask to avoid divine sense detection. His white clothes fluttered, blending with the snowy background. He played with a leaf in his right hand, with strands of sword chi coiling around it. From a high viewpoint, he could see Ziwei and also see Ziwei. Before emitting sword intent, he had surveyed the area within 100 li, confirming no other strong cultivators before coming to this mountaintop. Guan did not like innocent killings, but Ziwei threatened his medicine valley and had to be driven away. Blame yourself for choosing the wrong place. Guan murmured to himself. He had already activated his cultivation technique, infusing spiritual power into the leaf. At the same time, Ziwei heard his father's words and quickly turned around. With his foundation establishment cultivation, he couldn't see 10 li away, much less at night with flying snow obstructing his view. Not seeing the visitor made him nervous. Ziwei felt the increasing sword intent of the other person, knowing this battle was inevitable. A demon path spy? Or, one of theirs? Ziwei eyes flickered. His right hand grasped a treasure sword in front of him. This sword was slender, with a red blade. As he held it, the blade ignited, becoming the brightest sight in the night sky. He drew his sword and swung it in the air, creating a trail of fire suspended in the night sky. In such cold weather, using the devouring flame sword technique, it seems the recent sword enlightenment has greatly enhanced father's sword Dao. Zuolin turned around, seeing the sword fire in his father's hand, showing admiration. No matter who came, he believed his father wouldn't lose. Since Daoist friend refuses to speak, I can only assume you intend to disrupt my path enlightenment. Let this icy world witness whose sword intent is stronger. Zui Yijian's cold voice echoed between heaven and earth. As his words fell, a sword intent soared from his body, causing the mountain peak he stood on to tremble, the snow collapsing down, shaking the mountain where Zuolin was. 10 li away. Too much talk. Guan whispered to himself, his voice so low only he could hear. As he finished speaking, he suddenly threw the leaf in his hand. What flew out didn't seem to be a leaf, but a divine sword piercing through time and space. Chapter 33, Alarming the Outer Sect, Becoming a Deity. Amidst the dark snowy night, Zui Yijian's sword intent formed a shocking and domineering pillar of energy, stirring the wind and snow as it connected the sky and the mountain, fiery flames rising from within the pillar, transforming into a fire dragon soaring upward. Zuolin was left dumbfounded, never imagining his father's devouring flame sword technique had reached such heights, something he had never heard of before. Bang! A booming sound suddenly came from behind Zuolin, like a sudden clap of thunder, causing him to instinctively turn around. Before his face was fully turned, a bright sword light illuminated his face. His eyes widening, he glimpsed a dazzling sword light sweeping across the dim sky. The sword light was incredibly bright, beyond words to describe. The flying snow was impacted by the sword light, forming a huge wave of air, as if the entire night sky was about to be pierced by it. This scene deeply shocked Zuolin. Zuolin's mind went blank, leaving him no time to think. The dazzling sword light streaked through the night sky, flying over his head. The wind it created instantly activated the formation around him. A protective shield appeared around him, violently fluctuating, on the verge of breaking apart. Under Zuolin's gaze, the brilliant sword light collided with Zui Yijian's sword intent with an unstoppable force. Zui Yijian reacted faster than Zuolin, but not fast enough to match his opponent. He had no time to perform sword techniques, relying solely on his sword intent to forcefully resist. Bang! The terrifying pillar of energy enveloping him was directly shattered, the crimson flame dragon instantly dissipating into smoke. Zui Yijian's sword intent forcibly shattered. His robe was torn open, blood spurted from his body surface. His eyes widened, reflected in his pupils was a single leaf. How is this possible? This thought flashed in Zui Yijian's mind. He didn't even have time to feel fear as the leaf pierced his shoulder. The terrifying sword chi burst forth, pushing him backward, crashing through several mountain bodies, and finally smashed into the mountain forest 10 miles away. A trail was shot through the night sky, the surrounding snow vaporizing into mist when it neared, suspending among the mountains, incredibly spectacular. On the mountaintop, Zuolin stood within the formation, looking in disbelief at the direction where his father had disappeared. He collapsed to his knees, unable to accept what he had witnessed. His invincible father actually lost. And lost without any means of resistance. 10 miles away, on another mountaintop. Guan maintained the gesture of waving his hand. The cold wind laced with flying snow made his white robe flutter violently. His gaze under the mask was so calm. How can your 100 years of Dao level withstand my 2,000 years of lifespan investment? Guan thought to himself, knowing he had already shown mercy, aiming at Zui Yijian's shoulder instead of his head. He turned and left, disappearing into the vast snow, as if he had never been there. In the morning, Guan, as usual, led the disciples in exercises. Zhen Qin twisted her waist while looking at the sky, saying, "The snow seems to be lighter today." Wu Xin looked into the distance, saying, "It's not just the snow, that powerful sword intent has also vanished." Hearing this, the other disciples immediately became excited. Could that person already be gone? It's possible. It's said that sword cultivators seeking sword enlightenment need to find places with beautiful scenery to comprehend nature. our area isn't considered a blessed land. Don't be careless, what if he's just napping? Did you forget the thunder tribulation a few days ago? A great cultivator of that level needs to nap. Listening to their argument, Guan couldn't help but laugh. He cleared his throat and said, "Do the exercises seriously. Whether that senior has left or not, we will know soon." He hoped no one else would come to the vicinity for Tribulation Crossing or Sword Enlightenment in the future. If he accidentally went overboard, the scene would be ugly. In the following 2 days, with no sword intent enveloping the world, the disciples of Mystic Valley confirmed that the other party had indeed left, and so, Mystic Valley returned to its usual pace of life. Occasionally, cultivators would fly over Mystic Valley, something the disciples had become accustomed to. Only Guan knew that these people were probably investigating the injury of Ziwei, because he detected that one of the cultivators had a Nascent Soul Realm level 6 cultivation. At night. Several days later, Guan visited Qiong at the 8 Scenic Caves. After greeting her, Guan said, "It seems that Senior Ziwei has already left." Qiong, who was not practicing but performing alchemy, stared at the flames under the pill furnace and said, "Not left, he's either dead or injured." "What? Why do you say that?" Guan asked in feigned shock. He even added, "He's a great cultivator of the Nascent Soul Realm." Qiong rolled her eyes at him and replied, "So what? There are realms above the Nascent Soul Realm. There were 2 strong sword intents battling a few days ago, one far exceeding Ziwei's, and the fight ended instantly, showing the other's strength far surpassed Ziwei's." Upon hearing this, Guan felt secretly delighted. On the surface, however, he frowned and hesitated. Will Mystic Valley be in danger? Don't worry, it's been days already. Do you think a person seeing an ant on the roadside would deliberately step on it? Qiong looked back at the pill furnace and said softly. She seemed calm, but was actually filled with a sense of urgency. She realized she might have fallen out of touch with the immortal cultivation world. 70 years, enough to change dynasties. It took her only 40 years to reach the core formation realm. Who knows what the immortal cultivation world is like now? In future breakthroughs in Tribulation Crossing, be more cautious, don't imitate Ziwei. He might have thought no one would dare interfere, but didn't know the Supreme Sect's internal strife is fierce. Qiong said softly. Guan asked in surprise, "You mean the person who attacked Ziwei was a cultivator of the Supreme Sect?" Of course, other sects' great cultivators wouldn't rashly intrude into the Supreme Sect, and the other side disappeared quickly, without a second fight, so it can only be someone from the Supreme Sect. Qiong nodded. You've really guessed it right. After making his move last night, Guan quickly left the scene. Upon reaching Mystic Valley, he sensed several powerful divine senses sweeping past, making him break out in cold sweat. Thankfully, his dragon strength divine primordial skill was strong enough. Qiong clearly had a lot on her mind, and she started educating Guan on how to navigate the immortal cultivation world in the future. After chatting for a while, Guan finally got away and went to check on the Sky Dragon egg. The Sky Dragon egg was placed under a tree by Qiong, surrounded by hay, with numerous talisman papers underneath, inscribed with Qiong's spells to help the egg better absorb nature's spiritual energy. What will the Sky Dragon look like when it hatches? Guan began to fantasize about the scene of riding a true dragon and traveling across the mortal world. The news of Ziwei being seriously injured had a greater impact than Guan had anticipated. Even after more than half a month, when he came to the outer sect, he often heard people mentioning it along the way. Previously, news of Nascent Soul Realm cultivators was rare in the outer sect, but now the entire city was talking about Ziwei, possibly because he just crossed a tribulation. Before crossing the tribulation, Ziwei was an elder of the outer sect, ranking among the first-rate experts in the outer sect. Guan followed Elder Zhu Qinglu of the Elixir Hall to the Book Collection Hall in the outer sect. The Book Collection Hall managed all the book towers in the outer sect, including the scripture pavilions in various places. Cultivation techniques, side door scriptures, curiosities, and travelogues, any books entering the Supreme Sect had to be registered in the Book Collection Hall. Young brother, it's a good idea to write books. I support you. If it passes, I will speak to get your first batch increased. Zhu Qinglu walked ahead, looking back with a smile. Since he benefited from the green vine fruit, he treated Guan like family, at least on the surface. Guan smiled and said, "Thank you, senior, for your support. I won't forget your kindness." "Ha ha ha, don't mention it." Zhu Qinglu laughed, though his smile grew even brighter. The book collection hall was large, no less than the elixir hall. After passing through numerous corridors, the two arrived in a lobby where an elderly man sat sipping tea, with rows of bookshelves in the side hall. "Elder Lu, long time no see, how have you been?" Zhu Qinglu stepped over the threshold, clasped his hands, and smiled warmly. Guan immediately used a lifespan detection. Lu Chang, Foundation Establishment Realm 9th Layer 226/270/340. Upon seeing Zhu Qinglu, Lu Chang set down his teacup and stood to greet him. After a few polite exchanges, Lu Chang invited Zhu Qinglu to sit down, reminiscing about their previous encounter and even talking about joining the Supreme Sect together 200 years ago. Guan stood behind Zhu Qinglu, looking serious and curious, while Lu Chang occasionally glanced at him, feeling satisfied. After chatting for about an hour, Zhu Qinglu finally stated his purpose. "It's a simple matter. Junior brother, give me your book. I'll take a look. If it's good, this matter is settled." Lu Chang said to Guan with a big smile. Guan immediately took out the book he had written. Lu Chang accepted it, glanced at it, and smiled. "Investiture of the Gods. Nice name." He began to read, while Zhu Qinglu stood up and walked towards a nearby bookshelf. Guan stood obediently by the side. At first, Lu Chang was casual, but as he read on, he sat up straight. Just then, a young man in white stepped in and loudly said, "Elder Lu, do you have any books about sword cultivators? I want to see who in Taicang world can defeat the maniac swordsman of Tsanghu Lake with a leaf." Lu Chang raised his hand, gesturing for him to be quiet. Guan turned to look and instinctively used a lifespan detection. Guyu, Foundation Establishment Realm 8th Layer 34/291/1402, a genius. Guan had seen such geniuses before, so he didn't give Guyu another glance. Guyu leaned over to Lu Chang's side, peering at the investiture of the gods in his hands. After a while, Guyu also became engrossed. An hour passed. Zhu Qinglu returned, surprised, and asked, "Brother Lu, weren't you just skimming? Why are you reading for so long?" He glanced at Guan. "What did this kid write? Is it overstepping boundaries?" Lu Chang looked up, paused for a moment, then stood up, staring sharply at Guan, and asked, "Did you really write this?" Guan nodded, thinking, yes, it was written by an old ancestor from Earth. Zhu Qinglu frowned. "Is there a problem? If it's not good, I'll have him rewrite it." "No problem, it's very good." Lu Chang shook his head, looking at Guan again. "This book can be distributed. You have talent. I'll set a 30% profit share for you. 5% of the books selling spirit stones go to the sect, and 2% to the book collection hall." Guan quickly thanked him. Zhu Qinglu nodded slightly, feeling that Lu Chang had given him face. Lu Chang smiled and asked, "Will you use your real name as the author?" Guan shook his head, "Better not. I fear future troubles." "Then use the name Panan," he said. Chapter 34, 30,000 Years of Life, Ziwei Array Chronicles. Guan originally wanted to use the name of the original author of Investiture of the Gods, Su Zhonglin, but he envisioned writing other books for extra income, so he came up with a different name. Lu Chang and Zhu Qinglu didn't give it much thought, and as for Panan, compared to Guan, he only changed his surname, which they could understand. Afterwards, Lu Chang began to instruct Guan, mainly reminding him of what he shouldn't write, and implicitly suggesting that he include the Supreme Sect and portray it in a positive light. Even if he didn't write about the Supreme Sect directly, he could imply it. In short, the more he praised the Supreme Sect, the better treatment he would receive in the future. To this, Guan could only agree outwardly, leaving the decision for later. Writing books was just a pastime for him, he wouldn't spend too much effort on it. Once Lu Qiong finished speaking, Guyu came over excitedly and asked, "Brother, have you written any other books?" Guan shook his head and said, "This is my first time writing." "Ha ha ha, not bad, not bad. I have high hopes for you. Maybe you could surpass Green Hero's status within the Supreme Sect," Guyu said, patting Guan's shoulder with a friendly look. Guan sparked with interest, and asked, "Do you know Green Hero?" Guyu raised an eyebrow and said, "You like his travelogue too?" "I don't know him, I only know that he's a cultivator from the Supreme Sect." I asked Elder Lu, but he wouldn't say anything. Lu Qiong laughed heartily, pulling Zhu Qinglu aside and saying, "Accompany me for a walk, let's catch up and let the juniors chat." Zhu Qinglu nodded, and the two quickly left the main hall. Guyu then questioned Guan about the details of writing, Investiture of the Gods. Seeing Lu Chang's favorable attitude towards Guyu, Guan patiently answered. After a whole ancient hour passed, Guan finally left the book collection hall following Zhu Qinglu. The disciple named Guyu has an extraordinary background. It's rare for Lu Qiong to treat a junior this way, Zhu Qinglu remarked with meaning. Guan nodded, but he had no intention of forming a close relationship with Guyu. Such people could make his life unstable. The two didn't travel together for long. After parting, Guan began to purchase medicinal herb seeds and some clothes. It wasn't until nightfall that he returned to Mystic Valley. Days passed one by one. A new year's spring came again. The second spring festival in Mystic Valley went even more smoothly, without any setbacks, and the atmosphere was much more joyful than the first year. As usual, Guan delivered food to Qiong. He began calculating the days, preparing to see Qiong off. After Qiong left, he planned to make a big move in the 8 scenic caves, filling it with spirit flowers and spirit grass. When the new spring ended, Guan brought Wuxin to the outer sect and selected 3 more servant disciples, this time 2 women and 1 man, named Yan Mei, Yang Min, and Yi Yan respectively. All 3 were the same age, merely 18, and they looked forward to the life in Mystic Valley. Becoming a servant disciple not only allowed them to earn spirit stones but also gave them a chance to learn their master's spells. This time, Guan wasn't just recruiting servant disciples but also intended to make Wuxin fully accustomed to his status as a senior disciple, so he could run errands in the future. After returning to Mystic Valley, Guan let Wuxin introduce the 3 to the others in the valley, while he went into the northern forest to make some plans. He wanted to plant the surrounding forest full of medicinal herbs. The herbs he handed over last year already ranked in the top 10 of the Outer Sect's Medicine Valley. Zhu Qinglu valued him even more and improved his treatment. Now he supported 9 servant disciples, more than enough, and he even considered recruiting more. People rarely settled for their current situation. Guan had such thoughts about his annual lifespan income. He would be upset if it didn't grow as much as last year. Standing under a tree, Guan scanned the forest and began drawing a blueprint for the area in his mind. The white spirit rat suddenly darted out of the forest. Seeing it, Guan both had a headache and was full of anticipation. He feared it would bring trouble, yet he hoped it would bring treasures. It hopped to Guan's feet, spitting out a jade ring from its mouth. Guan raised his hand and grabbed the jade ring, tucking it into his belt to examine later in private. He picked up the white spirit rat and didn't let it run around. "Good job, it'll reward you with a green vine fruit tonight." Guan smiled. The white spirit rat seemed to understand and stopped struggling, lying obediently in his arms. After standing there for half an hour, Guan turned and left the forest, waiting on the grassy area near the planned zone for someone to arrive. Soon, the sound of something breaking through the air came. An outer sect disciple came via sword control and landed quickly beside Guan, his appearance catching other disciples' attention in Mystic Valley. "Senior brother. I'm back." The newcomer was Lu Jiojia, who had gone to take the outer sect test. Wearing the outer sect robe, he looked completely different from before. Guan smiled and said, "I thought you wouldn't come back." Lu Jiojia scratched his head and said, "How could that be? As soon as I got the Foundation Establishment pill, I went into seclusion. After successfully reaching Foundation Establishment, I came back immediately to share the joy with you all." Guan smiled, pinched his shoulder, and noted that his physique indeed became stronger. Others gathered around, excitedly asking him about his foundation establishment experience, and he answered them all with spirited confidence. When Guan first saw Lu Jiojia, he was only 15. Now, seeing his success, Guan felt only gratification. On the path to longevity, it was too lonely to journey alone. If those they interacted with could end well, he would have fewer regrets. Lu Jijia's return brought excitement to Mystic Valley, greatly encouraging the newly arrived Yan Mei, Yang Min, and Yi Yan. They saw a path for advancement. Working hard in Mystic Valley offered the hope of promotion to the outer sect. That night, Guan examined the jade ring the white spirit rat brought back. Using divine sense, he broke through the restriction inside and discovered a trove of spirit stones. Unexpected fortune. Guan had higher expectations of the white spirit rat. He rewarded it with the right to eat a green vine fruit. Lu Jiojia stayed in Mystic Valley for a month before leaving. Everyone knew his departure might mean they would never see him again in this lifetime, unless they also became outer sect disciples. In the blink of an eye, 2 years passed. Guan was now 30, but after consuming the youth-preserving pill, he looked just around 20. His lifespan had exceeded 30,000 years. Mystic Valley was expanding, and the number of outer sect disciples seeking his help to manage their caves had reached 11. His monthly lifespan increase kept rising. Life was busy and fulfilling, but he didn't feel tired at all. Instead, he was full of vigor. Summer arrived, and under the starry night sky, fireflies dotted the serene forest. In the forest, Qiong, clad in white, walked ahead, barefooted. She didn't feel any discomfort even when stepping on the tree branches. Guan followed silently behind. "All right, this is far enough." Qiong stopped, turned, and said to Guan. Guan nodded, and after hesitating for a moment, he said, "Martial Master, be cautious on your way out. After all, this is still within the Supreme Sect's territory." After so many years together, with Qiong teaching him many spells, it would be a lie to say he had no feelings. But more than those feelings, he preferred her leaving. Qiong nodded, raised her right hand, and a blue book appeared in her hand, which she tossed directly to Guan. "Train hard. When I return next time, I'll check your cultivation. If you disappoint me, I'll beat you up," Qiong said, shaking her fist in a child-threatening manner, making Guan laugh ironically. Before he could respond, Qiong vanished into thin air, and Guan could sense her demonic chi quickly fading away. In the dim forest, Guan's lips curled into a smile as he turned back towards Mystic Valley, inspecting the secret book in his hand. The Ziwei Array Chronicles. He skimmed through it briefly and found each page had a special restriction, describing formations in text, but their cultivation methods required divine sense to probe. Impressive. Guan thought of the formations in the 8 scenic caves. Those formations prevented even great cultivators of the Supreme Sect who flew over Mystic Valley from detecting the green vine tree's presence. Although Qiong only had a cultivation level of the 9th layer core formation realm, her formation and alchemy achievements far surpassed the core formation level. After all, she reached the core formation realm at 40 and then focused on formations and alchemy. She said she continued pondering formations even during her years of feigned death. Guan suddenly felt the weight of the Ziwei Array Chronicles in his hands. The moon set, and the sun rose. Morning arrived. Qiong's departure only affected Guan. Life in Mystic Valley continued as usual. After leading the disciples in exercises, Guan brought Yilan back to his loft. He took out a small wooden box he had prepared earlier and handed it to Yilan. The small box was square and finely crafted, as if it contained a jewel inside. Yilan paused, then curiously opened the wooden box, quickly seeing an elixir inside. "Senior brother, what is this elixir?" Yilan asked. Guan, sitting at the table and pouring himself tea, smiled. "Foundation establishment pill, prepared just for you. Don't tell anyone. In the future, if a disciple in the valley reaches the 9th layer chi cultivation realm, I'll give them one too, but don't let anyone know I have these elixirs beforehand to avoid trouble." Foundation establishment pill. Yilan widened her eyes and instinctively tried to refuse, but Guan preempted her, saying, "Don't worry, I kept one for myself. Once you succeed in Foundation establishment, you might even become my support in the outer sect. Work hard, that's the best way to repay me." Yilan felt complicated, wanting to say much but couldn't find the words. Guan advised earnestly, "Life is long, and one will have many thoughts. But never forget your greatest pursuit in this life." Although Yilan hadn't frequently clung to him all these years, her eyes were always so tender when she looked at him. Sometimes, he even eavesdropped on other disciples chatting. Everyone could see her affection for him. Guan's feelings for Yilan were purely sibling-like, not yet reaching the level of wanting to spend a lifetime together. Moreover, his heart was set on immortal cultivation. Yilan nodded firmly and gently said, "Senior brother, don't worry. I will train hard and not disappoint you. I'll strive to climb higher and take care of you in the future." As she said this, she winked at Guan. Guan smiled and motioned for her to leave. Yilan carefully put away the Foundation establishment pill and turned to leave, closing the door behind her. But just before it shut completely, she added, "Senior brother, no matter where I go, I won't give my heart to any other man. You will be the only one in my heart." With that, she quickly shut the door and left as if fleeing. Chapter 35, Flying Leaf Sword Immortal, Divinity Transformation Realm Inheritance. After Yilan obtained the Foundation establishment pill, she succeeded in establishing her foundation in just a month. That night, Guan guarded her during her tribulation in the dark, and she passed through it with no real danger. The day after successfully establishing her foundation, Yilan bid farewell and left in a hurry. Her sudden achievement in Foundation establishment became a major topic in Mystic Valley, leading to many speculations among the disciples. Some said it was Guan who gave her the Foundation establishment pill, others claimed Yilan had a fortuitous encounter, and some believed her mountain forest training was divinely aided. Regardless, Yilan eventually left. Under the scorching summer sun, Guan stood on the pavilion's platform, looking at the busy disciples below, suddenly feeling a sense of change and loss. Qing Xiandan, Zhang Chuanxiu, Li Ya, Meng Lang, Lu Jiojia, and Yilan were all gone. Now, only the younger generation remained. Among them, Xiaochuan had the most seniority under him. Xiaochuan had given up thoughts of moving to the outer sect, but he did not get disheartened and still lived a positive life, finding other meanings in life alongside cultivation. Guan looked at a corner of the Medicine Valley, where bamboo fences enclosed ducks. Xiaochuan was leaning over the fence, interacting with the ducks. These ducks were not ordinary farm ducks, they had a trace of the bloodline of third-order demon beasts. Each duck cost 100 low-grade spirit stones. Xiaochuan emptied his wallet to buy 2, while the other 10 were paid for by Guan, increasing Xiaochuan's gratitude towards him. Despite the trace of third-order demon beast bloodline, these ducks would be lucky to grow to the first order. The flesh of low-order demon beasts is also beneficial to cultivators. Should I set up a livestock business? It could extend life and earn spirit stones. Guan suddenly felt tempted. Raising sheep and cattle in the mountains wasn't out of the question. But doing this would require constantly expanding manpower, and he feared causing a stir that would draw the Supreme Sect's ire. He had considered running off to find a deep mountain on his own, but quickly dismissed it. Not to mention that the green vine tree was hard to move, he did not want to miss out on the Supreme Sect's resource channels. Within the Supreme Sect, as long as he had enough spirit stones, he could buy anything he wanted. Going outside might not offer the same certainty. Some rare items were hard to find. At worst, he could glorify the Supreme Sect in his writing later on. Guan thought secretly, as long as he handed over enough medicinal herbs and demon beast blood, how could the Supreme Sect give him a hard time? They might even lend him a hand. Yes, just like that. In the future, Xiaochuan will be the beast tamer, and Wu Xin will be the chief disciple in charge of planting. They will be my left and right guardians in Mystic Valley. The more Guan thought about it, the more feasible it seemed. He began planning. Earlier, the jade ring found by the white spirit rat contained a large sum of wealth. He calculated it to be worth 2 million low-grade spirit stones, equivalent to 200 top-grade spirit stones, enough for him to expand significantly. He decided to act. Guan called out to Xiaochuan, who immediately ran over and leaped onto the platform. "Senior brother, what's the matter?" Xiaochuan asked. Guan shared his idea, and Xiaochuan's eyes lit up, growing more excited the more he listened. The two quickly agreed. In the end, Guan sent Xiaochuan to the outer sect with a list to acquire necessary items, and Xiaochuan set off on the same day. Xiaochuan also knew the sword control technique, but his spiritual power was insufficient, requiring 2 days for the round trip with a night's rest in between. 3 days later, Xiaochuan returned and handed Guan the prepared list, chattering excitedly. He had met Lu Jiojia in the outer sect, who personally took him to inspect the demon beasts, saving a lot of trouble. After discussing, Guan decided to buy 50 young beasts first to test the waters, as only with such a quantity would the outer sect's beast hall agree to transport them to Mystic Valley. After a day's rest, Xiaochuan set off with spirit stones provided by Guan, accompanied by Tang Yu and Su Han, both at the 5th layer of the energy cultivation realm, adding to their presence. If not for a batch of medicinal herbs nearing harvest, Guan would have gone personally to avoid being deceived. Fortunately, nothing like that happened. The Supreme Sect was indeed a reputable sect. 5 days later, Xiaochuan and the others returned by sword, followed by 3 two-horned white eagles with 5 zhang wingspans. On the eagles' backs stood cultivators, and their claws carried large cages containing young lambs. These lambs did not have grown horns and the flight was smooth, thanks to talisman papers on the cages. After landing, Guan went forward to thank them. The 3 medicine hall disciples were not overly friendly but did not embarrass him either. After exchanging pleasantries, they left on the eagles. "Xiaochuan, these lambs cost me 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, you must take good care of them," Guan said, patting Xiaochuan's shoulder meaningfully. "Not just spirit stones, but my very life. These lambs would have the strength of the first order when grown, equivalent to the 3rd layer of the energy cultivation realm, though they couldn't develop human-like spiritual wisdom." Xiaochuan nodded solemnly, scratching his head. "Senior brother, can we recruit 2 more servant disciples to help me?" Guan replied, "Have others help you first, recruit disciples in half a year. My storage bag is a bit tight right now." Xiaochuan beamed, quickly expressing his gratitude. Guan indeed had many spirit stones, but he feared drawing too much attention, so he chose to restrain himself for half a year. After dealing with Xiaochuan, Guan returned to the pavilion. Everyone in the valley came to observe the first-order sheep demon. For those fixated on plants daily, the appearance of sheep demons was novel. Back in the pavilion, Guan prepared to write the next volume of Investiture of the Gods, as Lu Qiong from the book collection hall had urged him several times. Listening to the laughter of the disciples outside, Guan's lips involuntarily curled up. In a courtyard, Ziwei sat under a tree, his head full of white hair, holding a leaf in his right hand, his brow furrowed. Compared to the him who had successfully crossed the tribulation years ago, he looked much older, losing his sharpness, no longer seeming like a great cultivator of the Nascent Soul Realm. Zuolin walked into the courtyard, turned his head, and saw his father under the tree. He immediately went forward, snatching the leaf from Ziwei hand. "Father, how long will you remain in decline?" Zuolin questioned angrily, throwing the leaf on the ground and stomping on it. Ziwei looked at him with eyes calm as water. "I am not in decline. You spend all day looking at leaves. How long has it been? How long since you absorbed energy, or tempered your sword intent?" Zuolin's tone was full of frustration. Thinking of the indignities he had suffered over the years, a surge of anger welled up, almost uncontrollable. Ziwei bent to pick up the leaf. "Then before, when you held your sword deep in thought, not absorbing energy, what was it for? With your sword, were you more diligent than I with my leaf?" Zuolin was at a loss, his face flushing. "A sword is a sword, a leaf is a leaf. I couldn't grasp sword Dao and thus sat in contemplation." "But are you pursuing leaf Dao?" "But the flying leaf sword Immortal defeated me with just a leaf." "Do you think his leaf wasn't a sword?" "That's different. True sword Dao is never confined to a specific sword." Ziwei said softly, refocusing on the leaf in his hand, his gaze becoming distant. Zuolin cursed inwardly, reaching into his storage bag to pull out a book. "Father, look at this book, called Investiture of the Gods. It has spread through the immortal cultivation world in the past 2 years. Many sects are reading it. Some say it records an ancient era's war of cultivation." Ziwei remained indifferent. Zuolin placed the Investiture of the Gods at his feet and then turned to leave. As soon as he left the courtyard, he couldn't resist pulling out another copy of Investiture of the Gods from his storage bag. Ziwei continued to daydream. After an unknown amount of time, he finally blinked and glanced at the Investiture of the Gods on the ground. In autumn, Mystic Valley was covered in yellowish hues. In the pavilion, Guan sat drinking tea with Liya, who was passionately talking while holding a book. It was Investiture of the Gods. In the past 2 years, the Supreme Sect has been in the spotlight. First, the Flying Leaf Sword Immortal defeated the maniac swordsman of Tsanghu Lake, a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator, with just 1 leaf, becoming famous in the immortal cultivation world. Second, this Investiture of the Gods, with its grand immortal cultivation stories and incredible spells, has everyone talking. Some even say it might record a true ancient era story. Listening to Li Ya's praise of Investiture of the Gods, Guan frowned. Is it really that popular? But his share of the profits wasn't much. Is the book collection hall taking a cut, or are other sects reading pirated copies? Come to think of it, the immortal cultivation world doesn't care about copyrights. Liya spoke at length before finally ending. "I wonder who this Panin is, truly a talent. I wish to meet him. Even inner sect disciples and inheriting disciples are reading this book." Guan asked curiously, "Is it that amazing? I should read it and see if it can compare to Green Hero Travelogue." "That low-class book can't compare to Investiture of the Gods," Liya scoffed. Guan only smiled. Liya set down his book, picked up his teacup, and drank it in one gulp. "I'm leaving soon, going out to train. I might not return for 10 years. For him, 10 years wasn't much, but for junior brother Gu, it was different. So he came to inform him. Guan wasn't surprised. Cultivators couldn't stay in the sect forever. They needed to go out to train, seek opportunities, and cultivate both their Tao and their heart. "Do you have a goal?" Guan asked casually. Liya smiled. "Yes, there is an impending passing of a great cultivator of the Divinity transformation realm in the southernmost Jizhou. He wishes to find a suitable successor before his demise. This person is a sword cultivator, and I plan to try my luck." Divinity transformation? What kind of realm is that? How many levels above the Nascent Soul Realm? Guan pretended to ask in curiosity. Liya laughed. "The Divinity transformation realm is just above the Nascent Soul Realm. If it were several levels higher, he wouldn't appear in Taicang. There's more to this land than just the Taicang dynasty, and supposedly, beyond the sea lies an even broader world. But without reaching the Nascent Soul Realm, it's hard to cross over." He stood up, smiling. "Junior brother Gu, when I return, I will be the inheritor of a Divinity transformation cultivator. By then, call me senior brother, and maybe I'll show you Divinity transformation spells." With that, he turned to the window and leaped out, departing by sword. Guan looked at the footprints on the windowsill, raising an eyebrow. Divinity transformation realm? He had to reach it before Liya returned. Chapter 36 Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy Skill, Comprehending Divine Skills. After Liya left, Guan devoted himself to building Mystic Valley, and his leisurely days started to diminish because those young demon sheep were quite troublesome. At 4 months old, they ran through the mountains and forests as if they were flat ground, as fast as cheetahs on Earth in his previous life. If not for the presence of cultivators in the valley, they would have long escaped. Guan had to study the Ziwei array chronicles left by Jiang Qiong, learning some basic restrictions to seal the sheepfold. When the 6-month period was up, Guan had Wuxin bring Xiaochuan to the outer sect to recruit 2 more servant disciples, named Shenhong and Jinshaoer, with mediocre aptitude, which satisfied him. The number of servant disciples in Mystic Valley reached 10, making it lively every day. Time flies like an arrow, it passes in the blink of an eye, never to return. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. It was autumn again. Xiaochuan was patrolling the various gardens, followed by a line of ducks, moving in a mighty formation. Disciples sat absorbing spiritual energy on the mountain tops around Medicine Valley, and the forest would occasionally shake, from the movement of Tang Yu and Su Han chasing demon sheep. Guan walked out of the western forest, smiling. He had just picked a batch of medicinal herbs, earning himself several centuries of life. He was increasingly close to 10,000 years of lifespan. His lifespan had now reached 80,000 years. In 3 years, he had gained nearly 50,000 years of life, mainly because the herbs he had planted for many years were maturing, and 1,000 years of life were from managing exterior disciples' caves. The small-frame Zhenqin ran out of the forest with a bamboo basket on her back. She hurried to Gu An's side and said, "Master, can you teach me alchemy today?" A dry leaf was still on her head, and the hair on the sides of her cheeks was a bit disheveled. Guan chuckled, "Of course, but you have to use your herbs. That way, you'll be more careful." Once, Zhenqin overheard Guan consuming a youth-preserving pill, making her interested in alchemy. She pestered him for nearly half a year. "I've been prepared for a long time," Zhenqin said excitedly, hopping around Guan like a girl who never grows up. Whoosh, a sound pierced the air above Mystic Valley. Guan looked up and habitually cast a lifespan detection. Another Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. This year, more than 10 Nascent Soul Realm Cultivators had passed above Mystic Valley, which made Guan uneasy, feeling something big was about to happen. Even the world's outer sect conference back then didn't attract so many Nascent Soul Realm Cultivators. This won't do. The Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill must be improved. If a great cultivator far surpassing the Nascent Soul Realm appears, what will I do if they see through my cultivation level? Guan decided silently. Over the years, the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill's enhancement to lifespan had dwindled, and now gaining a year's lifespan in half a year was a good outcome. In 10 years, this skill might no longer increase his lifespan. Then, Guan took Zhenqin back to his pavilion to start teaching her alchemy techniques. Until late at night, Guan sneaked into the 8 scenic caves. After Qiong left, he had also explored the other 6 tunnels, and at the end of each, there were corpses like Meng Lang, refined by Qing Xiandan and Qiong using different poison skills of myriad poison mystic skill. For these poison corpses, Guan temporarily had no intention of touching them. He made his way to the green vine tree, rolled up his sleeves, and began meditating. At this moment, a shadow fell from the tree and burrowed into his arms. A little black dragon. Its body was slender, about 2 feet long, with a pair of dragon horns and dragon whiskers on its mouth, covered in tiny black dragon scales, and its 4 claws were sharp. It looked much like the dragons in ancient Huaxia legends, but with a different color. This was the holy beast of the ancient Sky Sect, the Sky Dragon. Guan stroked it while checking its lifespan. Sky Dragon, First Order 1/965/18,000, its lifespan has increased again. When the Sky Dragon was born, it had only 500 years of lifespan. Now, in just 1 year, its lifespan had almost doubled. No wonder it had the potential of a 9th-rank demon beast. Guan recalled the process of the Sky Dragon acknowledging him as master last year, smiling unconsciously. When it was just born, the Sky Dragon bit him directly, causing him to angrily throw it away, and then it pitifully came over to nuzzle him. Guan felt the Sky Dragon didn't really acknowledge him as its master but rather recognized who its kin was through blood. They had a bond of soul resonance, allowing him to understand its thoughts but not controlling its life and death directly. The Sky Dragon would only serve one master in its life, indicating that although it was naturally violent, it was also extremely loyal and righteous. "Good boy, go eat now." Guan took out a demon sheep he had killed from his storage bag. It was fresh from the previous morning, giving him 3 years of lifespan. The Sky Dragon's eyes lit up and immediately flew aside with the demon sheep's corpse. The demon sheep's corpse was several times larger than the Sky Dragon, but it seemed weightless in its dragon claws. Guan called up the attribute panel and focused on the cultivation techniques section, investing 2,000 years of lifespan into the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill. The Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill could hide his cultivation level and aura, which was crucial. he considered it even more important than the divine wood pure yang skill. You invested 2,000 years of lifespan in the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for evolutionary cultivation. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 10 years. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth tempered your body, enhancing your physical chi blood. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 100 years. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth tempered your body, enhancing your physical chi blood. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 200 years, achieving the peak creation realm in your Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 400 years, one day grasping the true meaning of Earth. Your Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill returned to simplicity, and upgraded to the Earth Lineage Emperor Energy skill. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 1500 years, sensing the rules of the Earth. Your Earth Lineage Emperor Energy skill broke through the limits, upgraded to the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 1800 years, enhancing your understanding of the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill, achieving mastery. You cultivated the Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill for 2000 years, achieving peak creation realm understanding of the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill, comprehending the divine skill, Mystic Yellow Dragon Might. Line after line of prompts appeared before Guan's eyes. The Dragon Strength Divine Origin skill upgraded to Earth Lineage Emperor Energy skill and then to Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill. It even awakened a divine skill. Guan was overjoyed, feeling lucky this time. A vast amount of memory quickly flooded into his mind, immersing him in the profound Taoist sorcery knowledge. The Sky Dragon, biting the mutton, looked back with its gem-like eyes showing curiosity. The grass on the ground beneath Guan emitted strands of green energy, swirling around him as he began to breathe rhythmically unconsciously, with faint dragon roars echoing. The Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill tempered the body with the Earth's essence of yellow energy, integrating the physical body with nature. The so-called dragon roar was actually the sound of the Earth's roar. After 2 full ancient hours, Guan finally woke up. He frowned as he opened his eyes. All the grass around him had withered. He quickly got up and scanned the medicinal herbs in the 8 scenic caves, only relaxing after confirming they were fine. Only the weeds withered, the spirit flowers and grasses were largely unaffected. In the future, I must not do this recklessly. Whether it's upgrading a cultivation technique or breaking through, I must leave the 8 scenic caves to avoid depleting the spiritual energy here. Guan sat back down, reviewing the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill while cultivating according to the method. He consolidated a breath of Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy, integrating his body with nature. The Sky Dragon, now full, lay beside the demon sheep's corpse, sleeping. Inside the 8 scenic caves, only the sound of the wind remained. At dawn, Guan descended from his pavilion, changing into a green robe, his black hair casually tied at the back, with 2 long strands left by his ears, exuding an ethereal, unworldly aura of a cultivator. His body had not fully adapted to the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill yet, but he wasn't in a hurry. With nightly practice, he would master the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy within a month. And with the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill's divine trait, Mystic Yellow Dragon Might, there was no need for separate cultivation. It would naturally manifest when the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy was produced. Mystic Yellow Dragon Might was essentially the might of heaven and earth, able to deter all beings. Guan started calling for the disciples to do exercises. When everyone gathered, they could all sense Guan was in a good mood today. Zhen Qin curiously asked her master what had made him so happy. Nothing much, I read a book last night called The Investiture of the Gods. You can borrow it from the book collection pavilion when you have time, Guan said, smiling as he exercised. Xiao Chuan's eyes lit up. I know about the Investiture of the Gods. Almost everyone in the outer sect has a copy. It's said to record ancient mysteries of the immortal cultivation world. The disciples became interested and began asking Xiao Chuan what the Investiture of the Gods was about. Guan didn't interject further, still dwelling on the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill. Over the next month, he practiced the Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy skill nightly and finally succeeded in cultivating a breath of Mystic Yellow Dragon Energy in his abdomen, significantly advancing his ability to conceal his cultivation level and aura. Guan felt a huge relief. knowing he could now stay hidden peacefully. That year was as uneventful as the previous years, which was the best outcome for Guan. As the winter snow began to melt, Mystic Valley welcomed a new spring, and all disciples prepared for the new year. Guan was deeply engrossed in reading the Green Hero Travelogue under a tree. Zhenqin suddenly approached, with her hands behind her back, bending over to ask, "Master, what do you want to eat tomorrow night?" "I'll make it for you." Without moving his gaze, Guan replied, "Anything you make, I'll eat." Curious, Zhenqin leaned over to see what book he was reading, but he stopped her. "Hurry up and prepare the ingredients, or you'll miss the festival tomorrow night. Be careful, or I won't teach you alchemy," Guan said sternly. Zhenqin pouted but had to leave. Guan faintly heard her muttering, again reading that nonsensical book. The corner of his mouth twitched. Just who spread this rumor? Ruining his reputation. Now all the disciples in Medicine Valley knew he liked reading the Green Hero Travelogue, often mocking him in private despite not daring to say it to his face. Guan stood up, putting the Green Hero Travelogue into his arms. "Starting today, I'm quitting." Guan walked out of the courtyard, planning to inspect the garden, but his attention was caught by the valley entrance, making him frown. A man in a white robe walked gracefully, appearing in his 30s, looking handsome with an extraordinary demeanor. What made Guan frown was that he couldn't sense the man's aura. He immediately cast a lifespan detection on him. Li Xiandao, Divinity Transformation Realm, 8th layer 230/899/3020. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.